Well, good afternoon, everybody. 7 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson, and I am your friend and radio buddy, and it is also, again, another hot day. I don't know, my temperature gauge just went out, but I got 98. That's what
it's too hot. That's why.
Yeah, the temperature gauge. I got to tell you, I went out and got in the car, and when you first get in a car, the thermometer is always higher, right? I don't know why. So I said like it's 107 inside the car. But once you get up to moving, it tells you what the true temperature is. Right now, we've got 98 degrees. That's what I've got. What do you got?
Same. Yep.
Yeah, 98 degrees in Nashville. And I'm telling you, let me see, Watertown. I got the Watertown numbers. 99. We're hotter than you are. We're further south. 99 hot, sweltering degrees in the nitty-gritty city of Watertown, Tennessee. Bucolic Watertown, not so bucolic today. Sort of looking a little wilted.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, me and the Bulldog, we're all right. We're here in the studio where it's a pleasant 68 degrees. Let's get started on this Arlington Cemetery controversy. The other day, Donald Trump shows up on the third anniversary of the horrible thing that happened in Afghanistan and was there to lay a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknowns and was there alongside people who lost their loved ones on that day. And it was a stark contrast because, you didn't see Joe Biden doing anything like that. You didn't see the White House even mention. Of course, it's an embarrassing thing. They don't want to mention what happened 3 years ago in Afghanistan because, it was a horrible, horrible day for their administration and a horrible day for those families who lost loved ones and had others who were severely injured. 13 dead, 45 or so injured on that day. And so, to me, it was a completely fine thing. You see Trump. He's not talking. He's there acting very respectfully. He and a family member put a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers. Now, I've been to the Tomb of the Unknowns on many occasions covering various events that have happened, usually on a holiday. They would send you over, and I've done live shots, and I've been there. And it is a somber place. It is truly a sacred space. And when you watch the changing of the guard at the Tomb of the Unknowns, it is, it's impressive. And you have a group of soldiers that stand guard over the Tomb of the Unknowns through snow, through rain. I mean, I remember while I was there one day, a hell of a thunderstorm came through, and they did not abandon their post. They stayed out there and continued to march. And there was video from a security camera that showed, these guys getting blown around and branches coming down and the whole 9 yards, and they didn't abandon their post. They take it very, very seriously, and as they should, because it is a sacred place. It truly is. But now there's all of this controversy because apparently there was some kind of backstage encounter between the Trump people and somebody who works for the Army as a civilian there. It turned into apparently the civilian person who works for the Army civilian person, ANC person they called, tried to stand in the way of Donald Trump saying, you can't use this for political purposes. And I don't know if words were exchanged, but as it's described, they just sort of brushed past this person and went on about their way. Now, apparently the big controversy was over a camera person that had apparently been approved in advance. Trump people had permission to have a camera person there, but that was apparently the issue of controversy. And here's what we're seeing. The Wall Street Journal writes about it, says, dispute grows over Trump's Arlington Cemetery visit as Vance says Harris can go to hell. And I'll play that soundbite for you in a moment. Army says an employee was unfairly attacked. By that they mean verbally, not physically attacked, after Republican former president honored fallen soldiers earlier this week. U.S. Army defended its employee in a statement on Thursday, saying the person was abruptly pushed by a Trump campaign staffer, though they will not be pressing charges. The Army said the employee acted with professionalism and avoided further disruption, and the matter is closed. It was an incident which was unfortunate. It is also unfortunate that the ANC employee and her professionalism has been unfairly attacked, a U.S. Army spokesperson said. So there you have that. Now, J.D. Vance has weighed in on it. In a minute, I'm going to tell you something that I think changes the whole nature of the reporting on this story, something you probably haven't heard before now. But here's J.D. Vance talking about it.
Could you tell us more about the altercation that happened at the Arlington Cemetery?
Well, I think, first of all, the altercation at Arlington Cemetery is the media creating a story where I really don't think that there is one. There is verifiable evidence. There is verifiable evidence that the campaign was allowed to have a photographer there. There's verifiable, they were invited to have a photographer there. There's verifiable evidence that the families of these poor people who had their loved ones die 3 years ago at Abbey Road, Abbey Gate, those 13 Americans, a lot of them were there with the president. They invited him to be there and to support them. That's not an insult to the memories of their loved ones. They wanted Donald Trump there, and thank God that we have a president who stands with our veterans instead of one who runs away from them. Now it is amazing to me that you have apparently somebody at Arlington Cemetery, some staff member, had a little disagreement with somebody, and the media has turned this into a national news story. You know what I think our veterans care a lot more about? That Kamala Harris's VP nominee lied about his military service. I think that our veterans care a lot more about that. And the other thing our veterans care a lot more about is that 3 years ago, 13 brave, innocent Americans died, and they died because Kamala Harris refused to do her job, and there hasn't been a single investigation or a single firing. Look, sometimes mistakes happen. That's just the nature of government, the nature of military service. But to have those 13 Americans lose their lives and not fire a single person is disgraceful. Kamala Harris is disgraceful. We're going to talk about a story out of those 13 brave, innocent Americans who lost their lives. It's that Kamala Harris is so asleep at the wheel that she won't even do an investigation into what happened, and she wants to yell at Donald Trump because he showed up. She can go to hell.
Well, there you go. J.D. Vance not mincing any words about the whole thing. Everywhere you look, you find a story today. Oh, the Army says that the employee was pushed aside and has been unfairly attacked. Here's what you're not hearing a lot of, and this comes from the Daily Caller. I haven't seen it anywhere else, but it really gives you a lot of the background on what happened before. Listen to this. You ready? Speaker of the House Mike Johnson had to intervene to get former President Donald Trump into Arlington National Cemetery for the 3rd anniversary commemoration of the Afghanistan withdrawal with Gold Star families, the family member has told the Daily Caller. The Gold Star families who lost their children during the Biden administration's withdrawal from Afghanistan invited Trump to Arlington National Cemetery. He laid a wreath there for the 13 service members who were killed serving their country in Afghanistan. However, a Gold Star family told the Daily Caller, that Arlington National Cemetery was trying to make it difficult for the former president to appear for the ceremony to honor their children, something the families had requested. This wasn't a request of the Trump campaign. This was a request of the family members who were going to be there. Arlington National Cemetery told Gold Star families they could only be there for a specific time that did not work for everyone's schedule, and they were also told the president could not join them at their children's grave sites, the family told the caller. They could not have a former president of the United States there at their request. That's wrong. Now, Chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Representative Michael McCall, explained to the caller that he was contacted by Gold Star parents Darren Hoover and Kelly Barnett, the parents of Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover. Hoover and Barnett told him that Arlington Cemetery was giving the Gold Star parents of the U.S. servicemen killed at Abbey Gate a hard time about coordinating a ceremony with Trump on the anniversary of their deaths. McCall immediately reached out to the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, to ask for his assistance with the matter, and the caller is told he continued to track it until it was fixed. When Darren and Kelly contacted me, I was furious to hear their request to have President Trump join them to commemorate the anniversary of Taylor's death was being stymied, along with several other family members of U.S. service members killed at Abbey Gate. I immediately asked what I could do to help and reached out to Speaker Johnson to see what he could do. Thankfully, Speaker Johnson and his team acted quickly and were able to get the situation resolved. But something like this should never have happened. Gold Star families have already suffered enough. That's, again, Mike McCall to the Daily Caller. Republican California Representative Darrell Issa has called on Biden to meet with these Gold Star families on multiple occasions. His office told the caller he was present for the ceremonies on Monday and had been in contact with Arlington National Cemetery leading up to the anniversary. This administration, says Issa, absolutely interfered with the tributes to the 13 fallen. In its war on Trump, it made the Gold Star families collateral damage, Issa told the caller. Our office worked with Arlington National Cemetery to move the time of the event to a time that would accommodate the attendance of President Trump. That was done as a request by the families to this office, as they were not receiving that assistance from Arlington National Cemetery, two sources close to the discussion told the Daily Caller. Listen to this. Another source familiar with the conversations between the Gold Star families and Arlington National Cemetery said that after Johnson's phone call, the entire situation changed. The Speaker of the House had to get involved. Representatives Issa, Mast, and Chairman Mike McCall were instrumental in assisting in the Gold Star families. After the Speaker's call, the situation shifted significantly. It was only 3 days before the ceremony, and Arlington National Cemetery waited until the last minute to confirm key components of the events with the family. Arlington Cemetery officials claimed the families didn't want any media, photography, or videography at Section 60. That's what they call the tomb. That's the military term for it, contradicting what the families had actually requested. The families were fine with the media, designated by the Trump team, but Arlington kept pushing back, obstructing the process. This would have not happened without Speaker Johnson's involvement. Hoover told the caller in an emotional phone call that he and other Gold Star family members were the ones who called Trump and asked for him to show up. He also criticized the Biden administration for not contacting them over the past 3 years. Listen to this quote. We extended the invitation to President Trump. We are the ones that asked him to come. We are the ones that asked him to assist in laying a wreath for our son and for the shooting for Sergeants Canals and Cole. We're the ones that asked President Trump. He didn't come to us. Our team, his team didn't come to us and say, hey, this would be good for business. No. President Trump has stood by us from day one. He's been compassionate. He's been loving. He's been understanding. He's taking the mantle of our outrage a little bit because, to be quite honest with you, being quite frank, we haven't heard diddly squat from the current administration in 3 years, Hoover said. So here's what I think you should draw from all this. Arlington National Cemetery, who I guess you would have to say, you know, they respond to the commander-in-chief, didn't want to embarrass the Biden administration, and tried to throw up all of these roadblocks. And it wasn't until Republican members of Congress and the Speaker of the House got involved that the whole situation changed. And after everything was worked out, and after emails were sent confirming what would be allowed and what would not be allowed, a staffer, a woman, we are told, who works there at the cemetery, inserted herself back into the process and was going to stop something that had already been approved by all parties. Who is that person? Now, they say unfairly attacked. I think to make that judgment, we didn't even know who that person is. Is that person somehow politically connected? Fair question, I think. One way or the other, just because you're a former president of the United States, you should not be denied, especially because you're a former president of the United States, you should not be denied the opportunity to participate in a somber ceremony as the one we saw earlier this week. So, enough of that. It was worked out. Everything was fine. Somehow at the last minute, somebody decided to insert themselves into the whole situation, and then now they're claiming somehow that this person has been attacked and that there was an altercation or some kind of confrontation. One way or the other, we need more details about who that person is before we can make the final judgment. But it was worked out. It was all approved until somebody stuck their nose in the middle of it at the last second. 22 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
The listeria outbreak, it continues to grow, and 4 guns confiscated during a Nashville traffic stop. We'll have those stories at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
26 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson. I am your friend and radio buddy, and we're so glad that you're with us on this August 29th, this hot August day. The temperature now creeping up. Well, here in Watertown, 99. In Nashville, click, 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 99. But it feels like it's 100.
Oh, well, good. At least we got that going for us.
Yeah, there you go. So, hello, Jay Harper. Hello, Chris Weber back there with the blinky buttons, keeping things going as he always does. I want to mention that tomorrow I'm going to be gone. I'm taking the Friday before the holiday weekend and then the day of Labor Day off. I'll be back next Tuesday. And honestly, this is sort of like, I think I have one other day that I'm taking off, sort of a random day in September. But one way or the other, I'm here pretty much all the way to the election, all the way till we get done here. And so, I'm looking forward to sort of buckling up and taking you all the way to Election Day. But I am going to take a few days off to be with my sister in Texas. We're headed out.
Nice.
Heading out tomorrow. And as you know, I have the greatest sister in the world. Mm-hmm. And always love to go spend time with my sister. Honestly, she didn't get the best brother in the world, but I got the best sister. It's sort of unequal. It's unfair the way things have worked out.
A lot of balance there.
Yeah, it's out of balance. She really did not win the lottery, and I did. But one way or the other, we will. I'll be back here on Tuesday, and then, well, I have to be careful here because I am sort of sworn to secrecy for the moment. But I think when we come back next week, about midweek, I think it is, we're going to have a little surprise.
Really?
Oh yeah, there's gonna, and I got to tell you, I'm thrilled about it. I'm very happy about it. And I can't tell you what it is because, as I said, I'm sworn to secrecy.
Can you give us a little hint, maybe?
Well, how about a little musical hint?
Okay.
Now, if you're a longtime listener to me on this station, then this may give you some idea of what we're talking about. You ready? There it is. La da 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 la da 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 da. Does that ring any bells? Anybody?
Seems vaguely familiar to me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to give this one some thought.
Get the maracas out. Anyway, okay, that's enough of that. Here we go. Well, we'll make it go away. Okay, ready? There we go. Okay, so that was our hint. That's all I can say about it. Don't ask me any more.
You're going to broadcast from the border. That's it.
That's right. I'm going to the border.
You're going to cross the border. That's it. Yeah.
No. But those who are alert, cunning, and sly may put this together. And by the way, before I get back, this will all be clear to you.
Wow, that put a further layer of mystery upon this.
Yeah, I mean, but by the time I get back, this will be, I think, pretty clear to you.
Interesting.
And again, I wish I could go further, but I simply can't. Because honestly, the program director, Paul Mason, you know how he is. He's sort of like the Darth Vader of program directors. He's
a taskmaster.
He's threatened me, within an inch of my life if I reveal the whole secret. So, as I say, if you're alert, cunning, and sly, you may put this together. But you will clearly have an opportunity to put it together before I get back on Tuesday.
All
right. So I'm going to leave it right there.
Okay.
Right there for you to think about. But, that is very festive music.
It's very festive, yeah.
It's very festive. It's called the Funky Pee-wee. Ya-da-da. Yeah. I mean, it's not a cultural appropriation. It's just it's a festive piece of music.
Yeah.
No. Okay. All right. So you think about that. But am I happy about it? You bet I am. You bet I am. I'm excited. I just can't say anymore. But
you better stop now.
I better stop because Paul. I think he may be texting me now. So I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go too far. So that's all good. I hope that, everybody has a good vacation, a few days off. And again, we'll hit it hard coming back all the way to the election. We're not that far away from voting starting to take place. Right now, it's time for the news with Jay Harper. Good afternoon, Jay.
Good afternoon. We're coming up on 3:32. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've got 99 degrees, a forecast and a traffic report coming up. The listeria outbreak linked to contaminated deli meat, it continues to get worse. Here's ABC's Sherry Preston.
The CDC now says more than 50 cases of listeria have been reported in 18 states, leading to 57 hospitalizations and now 9 deaths. Listeria is a particularly nasty germ that can remain on surfaces like meat slicers and in food, even at refrigerated temperatures. It's also pretty sneaky. Some people don't get symptoms for up to 10 weeks after they've been contaminated. This outbreak is linked to certain now recalled Boar's Head and Old Country brand sliced deli meats with sell-by dates of October of this year.
One of the deaths has been reported here in Tennessee. 4 guns were recovered from a vehicle during a traffic stop off Brick Church Pike on Tuesday. Metro Police reported officers stopped the vehicle. It had 6 people inside, 4 of whom were juveniles. The driver, 47-year-old Donald McKissick, he told officers he was taking the 4 juveniles to their homes after they randomly knocked on his door and asked for a ride. During the traffic stop, which was for expired plates, a firearm was reportedly noticed on the floorboard in the back seat and taken from the vehicle. Police then searched the vehicle even further and found 3 more guns, 2 of which had their serial number scratched out. McKissick, he was then taken into custody and charged with 4 counts of contributing to the delinquency of a minor, felony weapons possession, driving on a revoked license, and alteration of identification numbers. His bond is set at $41,000. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Are your retirement assets structured to minimize taxes? This might be hard to believe, but many hardworking Americans just like you could be overpaying on taxes in retirement. You could be taxed on your IRA, your 401k, and any other tax-deferred retirement accounts. Beacon Capital Management is here to give you peace of mind, though. With the threat of massive tax increases just around the corner, your nest egg could be in trouble unless you take advantage of defensive tax-saving strategies now. Defend your hard-earned retirement savings by scheduling a free retirement tax reduction analysis today. No cost, no pressure, no obligation. If you've saved more than $250,000 for retirement, don't wait any longer to schedule your free retirement tax reduction analysis from Beacon. Just call 615-488-9303 or visit askbeaconnow.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Uh, 39 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock. I just want to say some people on the super text, the members nutrition super text line, some people have it way wrong. And we may have caused a stir.
Just let them stew a bit, let them be wrong. It's
One
okay.
person has gotten it right.
Actually, I think a couple have eventually, yeah.
And then a lot of people have it wrong.
Yes. The whole thing about Tijuana was extremely wrong. Just
that
saying.
was way wrong. We're not even going to talk about that.
You should seek help, whoever it was that said that.
Right. So there we go. And by the way, as long as we're talking about stuff that we're doing at the station, I want to remind you that if this thing goes off, and for now we think it's going off, although I saw a story today that said that Kamala Harris is now throwing up a bunch of additional roadblocks. I don't know if it's confirmed or not, but if it happens, this ABC debate on September 10th, that's Tuesday, September 10th, we're going to be live at Scoreboard Cedar Creek starting at 3 p.m. I'll do the drive there. We'll watch Trump take on Harris in the second presidential debate, the debate everybody's going to be watching and talking about. And we'll be doing it with you. So join us in Mount Juliet as we return to Scoreboard Cedar Creek. Details at 997WTN.com. We hope to see you there. And I should mention, at me, you know what I did? Me shooting my mouth off. I said, this is why you're supposed to not only control the blinky buttons, but control me, Chris. It's your job, to keep me from going too far. But I said, it'd be fun to do part of the show on a boat.
Yeah.
And and I have gear proprietary to this program that I have put together that will allow me to put it in a moving vehicle. And I guess technically we could probably move it over to a boat and do part of the show on the water. Although I'm trying to figure out what we would talk about. Because, you don't want to be talking about politics when you're, out on the lake. But we could theoretically do it. And we've had we've had actually someone offer to give us a boat. Mm-hmm. And I thank you for that offer. I need to run through some technical ideas, and I'd have to figure out exactly what we would do while we were out there.
Yeah, because you wouldn't want to do the entire broadcast.
No, it would just be it would be a radio bit.
Yeah.
Or you might want to call it a radio stunt.
Now, stunt is if you were on skis behind the said boat broadcasting live.
I used to be quite the kneeboarder.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, I had my own boat, and boy, I tell you, I've never been in better shape than when I was going kneeboarding all the time.
I bet. Yeah.
Because you got to pull yourself up on that board, and then get your knees strapped in, and then I would do the twists and the turns and the bounces and the jumps.
Wow.
I could go backwards. I could go forwards. I could do 360s. I could do it.
I'm impressed. I never would have thought.
And boy, I'm telling you, my arms looked fabulous. I had, big old strump. My triceps were just huge, because that's what you really got to use to pull up. But anyway, one way or the other, I that would be fun. I don't know that we can we'd have to string a mic alongside the tow rope.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I don't know how we could make that work. Be out there with a headset, like I'm doing a sports broadcast. That'd be so much fun. Oh, that'd be so much fun. But anyway, we're still thinking about it. And we appreciate the offer. I've been in touch with those people. I sent them a note saying, just let me think about this a little more. It probably is a really, really bad idea. But sometimes really, really bad ideas can be a lot of fun on the radio.
Pretty fun.
They can be fun. Yeah. That's right. All right, so there's all that. Again, that's the 10th of September. Starts at 3. I'll be joined at some point along the line. They'll mosey in whenever they get good and ready, because I have to be the person wearing the daddy pants at these things. I have to be the one that keeps the thing going, because I will say, look, Chris and Dan and Matt are really social butterflies. They would rather go out and hobnob with people that have come to the event than to actually, come up on the platform and do some radio work.
Yeah. As soon as the light turns off, they're out.
They're gone, and somebody has to stay there.
Yeah.
Well, usually I have to stay there because I have an endorsement to read, or a commercial or something like that. So I have to stay there anyway. And then I'm always, guys, hello. I'm shouting across the PA system, talent back to the stage. And, they don't listen to me. So, I always end up having to be the guy with the daddy pants. I want somebody else to wear the daddy pants so I can go off and hobnob.
We need a talent wrangler to be on the...
A talent wrangler. That's exactly what
the events. Yeah.
I'll have to find somebody there. All right. Well, here we go. I want to talk a little bit about the situation with the economy. We keep hearing this news that, the economy's getting better and inflation is going down and it's all going to be better. Maybe there'll be an interest rate cut here in September. We don't know how that all is going to work out. But then I read stuff that tells me that it's not that good. I mean, there's anecdotal stories everywhere. The other day, the folks at Lowe's sent out their forecast for how they thought things were going to look in the coming year or in the next reporting session, and they were talking about we think sales are going to be down dramatically. That people are not going to be spending money on their homes; they don't have it. I think Home Depot did that as well. There have been some other stories out there of companies that have had to lower their expectations about profit for the coming season because they say we don't believe that customers will be spending money like they otherwise would. Now, what that indicates is people are a little uncertain about the economy and where it's going, and they want to hold on to the dollars they have. Here's another one of these stories. Dollar General's shares crater 25% as the retailer cuts outlook, blaming financially constrained customers. Dollar General shares tumbled Thursday after the discount retailer slashed its sales and profit guidance for the full year, suggesting its lower-income customers are struggling in this economy. Shares of the retailer, which caters to more rural areas, tumbled 25% after the earnings report. The company now expects fiscal 2024 same-store sales to be up 1% to 1.6%, That is lower than its prior outlook for a 2 to 2.7% increase. Earnings per share for this year are expected to be in a range of just $5.50 to $6.20 versus a much higher forecast that they had put out earlier. While we believe the softer sales trends are partially attributable to core customers who feel financially constrained, we know the importance of controlling what we can control. Said Todd Vassos, the CEO of Dollar General. However, he also acknowledged that the company has more work to do. He said it needs to improve its stores and how it handles inventory to curb losses. So there you go. The shares of Dollar General down 25% based on this announcement. Now, again, what this tells me is, you know, especially for lower-income Americans who don't have as much, maybe what you want to call it, cushion in their budget, are finding it hard to make ends meet. And, when the people who go to the Dollar General store can't buy stuff at the Dollar General, that people are still feeling the pain of inflation. And you can say inflation is down. I've gotten to the point now where I don't believe, honestly, I just don't believe the numbers that are coming out from the government. It's an election year, and we've seen the Biden administration weaponize every lever of government. What makes us think that they wouldn't be, weaponizing these numbers that come out to make things look better than they truly are? They say, well, inflation is coming down, and, we had that whole jobless thing where all of a sudden they seem to have misplaced, 818,000 jobs. And so, they had to revise that information because, well, we just made a mistake. How many mistakes do they come back and revise later? See, that's the thing you don't often hear about. You'll have these companies, you'll have the government come out with some statistic, a jobless rate or this, that, or the other. And then, GDP growth. Then they come back and then they revise it. You don't hear much about the revisions. You only hear it on the day that they make the original announcement. So, I think that it's entirely possible that some of these people who crank out these numbers for the U.S. government are trying to make it all look like roses, sunshine, and lollipops, when indeed there's a lot of anecdotal evidence, things like Dollar General, Lowe's, Home Depot, other people are coming forward and saying it's not going to be a particularly good year for us because, customers are not spending money. That's anecdotal, but sometimes anecdotal tells you the true story. And so, it makes me wonder if the economy is near as strong as they are making it out to be. Here's another one that will cost you some money. Car insurance premiums. Have you been checking this out? Car insurance premiums could skyrocket 50% in some states. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't have the numbers for Tennessee, but let me just tell you what I do have. A new report published by URFARB, an insurance comparison shopping site, shows the average U.S. rate for full auto insurance surged to $2,329 in the first half of 2024. That marks a 15% increase from 23 and a stunning 48% spike when compared with 21. By the end of 2024, the cost of coverage is expected to rise even further to $2,469, according to their projections. The problem is even worse in some states where prices are projected to rise more than 50% this year. They talk about Minnesota being one, Missouri, projected to climb 55%. Premiums in California expected to jump 54%. So, some states are really going to see a big hit. What's to blame? Several factors have caused spikes in car insurance rates. The price of both new and used cars rose sharply after COVID-19. So that means if you wreck them, it costs more to put them back together. That's part of it. As a result, vehicles are more expensive and costlier to replace, which has driven up the price of repairs. On top of that, the country is grappling with a shortage of mechanics, which is driving auto repair costs even higher. So if it has to be repaired under some kind of insurance claim, that comes into factor. Car insurance companies are also trying to make up from steep losses incurred in 2021, which saw a sharp rise in fatal car accidents. I don't understand that. Given the fact that cars are so much safer. I saw an interview with Elon Musk where he said that they have gotten the airbags on the Tesla to a point where he said, you should wear your safety belt, but if you don't wear your safety belt, it's practically no difference. That it's the airbag systems are so sophisticated now that they basically are good enough to protect you even if you aren't belted in, which I thought was interesting. So cars are safer, way safer. My car, if I'm running up on somebody not paying attention, it'll stop automatically. And quickly too. And so, a lot of people have that kind of technology in their car. You would think that the number of accidents would be going down, but I don't know why they would be going up. I can't put my finger on that unless it has something to do with people driving faster in a lot of different places. 52 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock. People here know Genesis Diamonds as the value leader. They've proven it time and time again, and these days value is so important. The thing to remember, Genesis is a true direct importer with connections that go back some 50-plus years, plus no middleman markups, no consignment fees, no third-party people to pay. And unlike other stores, Genesis works on a low profit margin. Their business is built on volume at a great price, so they don't have to make a killing on every sale. It's the opposite of what you've come to expect in jewelry retailing. But one thing people really love about Genesis, this is where you can get her a better ring, a designer ring, a handcrafted ring that reflects how you see her. While other stores sell knockoff rings or crappy overseas rings, at Genesis you can get her a stunning designer ring made in America by top designers these are rings that are made to last. Bottom line, she will proudly show off a Genesis ring because it won't be a mass-produced ring. It'll be something unique, something special, something amazing. That's what Genesis is known for, combining the best diamond value with the best quality ring to give her the total package. Genesis Diamonds, where luxury and value come together every day. Check them out, Green Hills and Cool Springs. And don't forget about their incredible collection of amazing luxury pre-owned Rolex watches.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Biden administration representatives meeting with the Chinese president. We'll let you know the results of that. Also, defense attorneys in the Idaho College murder trial, they're looking for a change of venue. And finally, Tennessee joining the DOJ lawsuit to fight jacked up rental rates. We'll have those stories at 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Okay, let's see how we did in the markets today. We got mixed boards. Dow Jones Industrial was up 243 points, a new record high there. But the S&P was down just slightly, just a hair. NASDAQ down about 39 points, again, just a hair. So what's driving the markets? Let's check in with John Maxon over at Beacon Capital Management for more on that. Good afternoon, John.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Yeah, the markets were actually up a little bit more today, and then they pulled back. A lot of that has to do probably with the inflation report tomorrow. NVIDIA disappointed last night, beat their expectations, but their forward-looking guidance was not good. On a positive note, the U.S. economy actually grew stronger than what was expected last quarter. The GDP number was actually revised up from 2.8 to 3%, so that was good. But tomorrow, and really as we headed into the close today, all the eyes of the market and really investors are going to turn towards the all-important inflation report. The PCE index is going to be out tomorrow. It's a major gauge for the Fed. It's expected to be flat in July. If it's higher than expected, that's probably a bad day on the market. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
All right. Thank you very much, John. And learn about all the things that the folks at Beacon Capital Management can do for you by going to their website, askbeaconnow.com. It is 59 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock. All right, if you're a fan of Legend Steakhouse like I am, you can enjoy some of those same flavors right at home, fresh off your very own grill. Just take a walk down your local grocery store aisles at places like Walmart and Kroger and look for Johnny Fleeman's very own brand. Now, his marinade proprietary blend will give your steaks, chickens, or chops a flavor that will hit a home run with family and friends. It's low in sodium, about a third of other brands. You don't have to worry about over-marinating. And talk about the honey mustard salad dressing. Use it as a salad dressing or a dipping sauce for your favorite chicken fingers, maybe fresh cut veggies or chips. It's a recipe used in his restaurants for over 35 years. Now, if your favorite grocer isn't stocking Johnny Fleeman products, ask them to do so. For more information, go to johnnyfleeman.com. That's johnnyfleeman.com. And it goes without saying, for those times when you want someone else to do the cooking, they'll always be glad to see you at your nearest Legend Steakhouse for lunch or for dinner.
Good afternoon. It's 4 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. It's hot, 99 degrees. A forecast and a traffic report are coming up. A ranking Biden administration official wrapping up 3 days of meetings in Beijing with a meeting with China's president, Xi Jinping. ABC's Carson Yu is in Hong Kong.
Sullivan characterized the meetings over the past few days as candid and substantive, stressing that the trip was part of ongoing efforts to responsibly manage the relationship between the two countries so competition doesn't veer into conflict.
President Biden has been clear that he is committed to managing this important relationship responsibly.
Carson Yu, ABC News, Hong Kong.
Attorneys for the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students back in 2022, they are in court trying to convince a judge that Brian Kohberger cannot get a fair trial in Moscow, Idaho. ABC's Alex Stone reports on that story.
All rise. Attorneys for Brian Kohberger claim there has been so much media attention in Idaho's Latah County and that there is so much emotion that Kohberger's trial set for next summer needs to be moved 300 miles away to Boise, where there has been less publicity. Defense attorneys say in a survey they conducted, one person in Latah County said they would burn down the courthouse if Kohberger were not convicted. They argue there's a mob mentality against Kohberger in Latah County.
Back here in Tennessee, the Volunteers State, one of multiple states joining a lawsuit filed by the Department of Justice against a software company accused of making it easier for landlords to raise rental rates. The lawsuit claiming that RealPage Incorporated violated antitrust laws through its algorithms, and the algorithm gives landlords recommended rental rates. Nashville's in the middle of a population boom, as we know, and thanks to demand, we're seeing quite heavy rental costs here in the mid-state. Tennessee's Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti says software company RealPage allows its landlords to cut competition by helping them collude to set similar prices, thus Tennessee joining in on that DOJ lawsuit. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
It is 5 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair all the way till 7 o'clock tonight on this hot August day. We're at 99. Oh, let's just call it 100. Why don't we? Might as well be 100. I mean, what's 1 degree among friends? We're going to get you. You stay cool. You stay collected. You stay calm. You get in your car, and we'll get you home, and we'll try to give you some information to get you going as we move forward. Now, as you know, on the countdown clock, I think let's see, 4 hours, a little less than 4 hours away.
3 hours, 53 minutes, and 30 seconds.
Thank you so much. I mean, I'm glad to know that we're on top of it. It'll be that soon before we'll see the much anticipated Kamala Harris interview. She'll sit down with Dana Bash and her support governor, Tim Walz. Will be right there by her side. Now, I think expectations are high. Question is, will Dana Bash ask the hard questions that need to be asked? and exactly what will come of this. We have, just in the last few moments, CNN has released an advance clip. And no, I know it's like I'm setting you up for a bit, but this is actually from the interview. Here is Kamala Harris talking about her positions, because that's the real question is, why are you flip-flopping on something? Her core beliefs, she says, have not changed.
Now is going to be your policy moving forward.
The most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act and what we need to do to secure our border. That value has not changed.
So there you have a little bit of it. I mean, there is, some sense of it. They're sitting in a room. I had read something that said it might take place on a bus, on a campaign bus, which not your great setting for an interview. But anyway, apparently it's not. It's in a room. It's a nondescript room. I don't know. It looks like it's just some sort of hotel banquet room, maybe, where they put a table down. I don't know. Not anything spectacular, but she's answering questions, and we'll get more on it. That's just a little taste. That's what they're trying to give you, a little tease of what will happen. Now, we did not hear in that clip anything from Tim Walz, Kamala Harris's support governor. It's like an emotional support animal. It's emotional support governor who will be there to, hold her hand, because obviously she can't just do it by herself. Isn't that interesting? Trump has commented about this interview before it came out.
First thing I want to do is say, why isn't it live? It's not a live interview. It's an interview that's going to be taped and then edited and then put out. So that's not even an interview. Then she's doing it with her vice president sitting there. So she's not very smart. When they ask her a question that she can't answer, she'll just look at him. You answer it. I can't imagine. Everyone's waiting for her to do an interview because she's been a very big failure on interviews before, as you know. A tremendous failure. And she brings in the vice president, who, by the way, isn't so good himself. He's been a disaster, this guy. He has been a disaster. His state is in a state of shock from his governorship. He's been a horrible governor. You look at employment numbers, you look at the people that are leaving, you look at all of the problems. Minneapolis is a burned down. They never built it back. It was terrible. He's been a terrible governor. It was a crazy pick. But he's sitting with her to help her out. So this is not the kind of a person we need as president.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair question. If you can't sit there and take a few questions from Dana Bash, then tell me why in the world you think you have what it takes to be the president of the United States. Now, it will be interesting to see how many times, Tim Walz bails her out. It'll be interesting to see how many tough questions are asked. But, already there's stuff to pick apart here. She says, my core values haven't changed. Well, how can that be? Because so many things that, you once said that you stood for, you are now saying you no longer stand for them. Fracking is one. First of all, you said you would never change your mind on fracking, that you were hard against fracking until you needed votes in Pennsylvania. And now all of a sudden, you're all for the fracking. Well, we think she is. I mean, this doesn't actually come from her mouth. It comes from her campaign people. It doesn't come from her. All right, so that's one. How about the border? You were against the border wall. You were against the border wall. Under no circumstances would you build a border wall. I've got the sound bites. I can pull them up, and they're all out there. You've heard them from the Wayback Machine. She has been so adamantly against the wall now. She's saying, we're in favor of that bipartisan piece of legislation, and that includes, millions and millions and millions of dollars to build new walls. So now she's in favor of the wall when she wasn't before. So, a lot of questions can be raised about, okay, now you say that you're not for an EV mandate, but then you just said that you're for the Green New Deal. So which is it? Which is it? Which position do you hold? Because the Green New Deal, part of that is an EV mandate. All right, so long story short, she's still going to have some questions to answer. It's going to be pretty easy to pick apart. But again, do you have the clock there? Where are we? We need to keep
We
the clock
are
in.
3 hours, 48 minutes.
Okay. On the nose.
Yep. Well,
all right.
Not now. It's 47 minutes.
Yeah, well, now,
50 seconds.
You never get it right. And then, then you have to figure in the satellite time, because it takes a second and a half for it to hit the satellites that are parked in geostationary orbit above the equator, and then bounce back, and then it doesn't matter. roughly. So there you go. We'll be watching to see how that all goes tonight. Now, as for the campaign, as for the debate, which Trump says it's on, and we've agreed to everything. And he said it will take place on September 10th, and he said it'll be standing, not sitting. There'll be no notes, and the microphones apparently will be muted when you are not speaking. That's what he says. Now comes this story, dated yesterday, from the Daily Wire. The Kamala Harris campaign denied that it has reached an agreement for the current vice president to debate former President Donald Trump on September 10th. Trump said in a social media post on Tuesday that the terms for the debate to be hosted by ABC News were settled. The Harris campaign contested the former president's assertion, referring to remarks made by Trump earlier in which he seemed favorable to some of Harris' team's terms. Both candidates have publicly made clear the willingness to debate with unmuted mics for the duration of the debate to fully allow for substantive exchanges between the candidates, but appears Donald Trump is letting his handlers overrule him. Sad, the campaign told Reuters in a statement. That's the Kamala campaign. Trump said in a post in Truth Social that both sides had agreed to terms, but now there's some question. I don't know. Look, it'll get worked out. You can't walk away from this. But I will say this: if this interview goes badly tonight, then maybe they won't do the debate. I mean, that could happen. Now we're going to have the party if there's a debate. Don't worry, but we're still planning on that, and I think it'll get worked out. But it is interesting that they're still apparently they're quibbling. Both sides quibbling, and so until both sides say it's on, I think you have to say that it's not technically on. But I have a pretty good feeling it will happen. Let's see what else we got. It's only 8 days. 8 days. It's hard to believe. 8 days until the election season kicks off. People will start balloting long before November 5th. Here's a story from the Fox News folks. 68 days until election on Tuesday, November 5th. But if Americans vote like they did in the last two election cycles, most of them will already have cast a ballot before the big day. Early voting starts as soon as September 6th in some places for eligible voters, with 7 battleground states sending out ballots to at least some voters the same month. It makes the next few months less a countdown to Election Day and more like the beginning of election season. States have long allowed at least some Americans to vote early, like members of the military or people with illnesses. In some states, almost every voter cast a ballot by mail. Many states expand eligibility in 2020 when the COVID-19 pandemic made it riskier to vote in person. That year, Fox News analysis found 71% of voters cast their ballots before Election Day, with 30% voting voting early in person and 41% voting by mail. Wow, those are interesting statistics. 71% voted early, 30% of them voted in person early, 41% voted by mail. Early voting remained popular in the midterms, with 57% of voters casting a ballot before Election Day. So, Republicans, as we get closer, and it gets time, we need all Republicans to vote early. I mean, we really do need to get over this idea of, I'll just go on Election Day. You know what? That's a great instinct, and I think it's sort of the way we should do it, honestly. We ought to have voting on Election Day, except for extreme situations where you're going to be, out of pocket, and you can verify and prove that you're going to be out of pocket, or if you're ill, or, something like that. I think there are exceptions, but by and large, we really should vote on Election Day. I mean, how in the world can you possibly how can you make a decision if you're on the bubble? Now, I'm not on the bubble. You're not on the bubble, very likely. You've made up your mind how you're going to go in that presidential election. But for those people that are on the bubble, how can you truly make up your mind until all of the evidence is in? You know, and information keeps coming across the transom. It keeps coming, you know, all the way up until Election Day. How would you feel if you voted and you were on the bubble, but you went ahead and cast your ballot, and then something came down the path that maybe you want to change your mind? Well, I wish I hadn't voted now. Wish I hadn't voted early. But I think by and large, we as Republicans, we just have to get over that. We know how we're going to vote. Get it done early. Get it done. Get it in. That way, if something happens on Election Day and life intervenes and you can't get by the polls, it's okay. You've already voted, right? I'm going to vote early. I would ask that you do that as well, unless you haven't made up your mind. And, you know, I'm not going to make you go early if you haven't made up your mind. But I think most people listening within the sound of my voice have made up their minds. It's just a wild guess, but I feel like that. I have some of the places where it begins early. September 6th in North Carolina, with 7 more battleground states starting in the month of September. North Carolina, September 6th. Pennsylvania, September 16th. Georgia, absentee ballots sent to military and overseas on the 17th. September 19th, Wisconsin. Absentee ballots are sent out. September 20th, you ready for this? Arkansas, Montana, Nebraska, North Dakota, Ohio, Utah, Wyoming, absentee ballots are sent to military and overseas. In Minnesota, South Dakota, in-person absentee voting begins. In Virginia, in-person early voting begins. And Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia, absentee ballots are sent out. September 21st, we began Alabama, Alaska, Colorado, Connecticut, Florida, Kansas, Massachusetts, Maryland, Michigan, New Hampshire, New York, Oregon, South Carolina, Washington. Absentee ballots are sent out overseas. Indiana, New Mexico, absentee ballots go out. Maryland, New Jersey, mail-in ballots are sent. So, I mean, it goes on and on and on and on and on and on. It tells you what every state. But, I mean, it's really, honestly, it's no longer election day. It's election season. Let's see what I got here. Okay, here we go. Democrats are freaking out over Republican efforts to stop illegal aliens from voting, while the Trump campaign, Republican National Committee, Republican governors, and Republican lawmakers on Capitol Hill work to keep illegal immigrants and non-citizens from voting in the U.S. elections. Democrats are fighting against their efforts and threatening to shut down the government over voter integrity legislation. Why would you be against that? If you say there are, people who are not citizens don't vote. It's illegal for them to do that. That's what the Democrats always say. Well, it's illegal. We don't need these laws because it's already illegal. Well, if it's already illegal and you say it's not a problem, then why not put into place voter integrity provisions that make people prove that they're American citizens? Well, that's an onerous burden. Well, how is it an onerous burden? I don't think it is. So they always fight it, but a question has to be asked, why do you fight it if you say it's not a problem? In some states, the Dems are fighting to keep RFK Jr. on the swing state ballots as a potential spoiler against Trump. Now, if you're running for the office of the presidency and you say, I've made a decision that I no longer want to run, and I want you to take my name off the ballot, seems like you ought to have the authority to do that. It's your name, right? You made the decision to put it on there. Now you're making a decision you don't want it to be on there. How is that not something that can be done? But apparently some of these swing states think he'll still be a spoiler and it will help the Democrats more than it will help the Republicans. And so they are leaving it on. Well, we don't care what you want. We're going to leave your name on the ballot. May be something to watch in the days ahead. This other story is a bit complex, but I think it's interesting. The Postal Service axes plan to reroute Nevada absentee ballots and other mail to California for processing. They've got a new plan where, they think that by doing some unusual things with the movement of mail in the system. The U.S. Postal Service can, sometimes they can improve the delivery for the majority of people by making it a little more difficult or a little more onerous a burden to get your mail for a few people. And it means that basically they're going to have to ship mail to the nearest super center of some kind. I don't really understand the whole thing, but there was actually a plan in place where Nevada mail would go to California for processing and then come back. And apparently they have said, no, we're not going to do that. You have to think about the Postal Service in a different way. The Postal Service is not just the Postal Service. It's the largest voting precinct in America, with so many people voting by mail. It far outclasses every other voting precinct in America. So we need to watch the Postal Service pretty closely to make sure they're following the rules on this stuff. 23 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock. Hey, did you know gold is up 78% over the last 5 years and silver is up 99% in the same time period? Meanwhile, the U.S. dollar has lost 25% of its value since 2020. Government-induced inflation is stealing your wealth, and it doesn't seem that Washington, D.C. has any plans to stop it. Gold and other precious metals are a great shield against that inflation theft. Now, during an election year, the politicians will promise that they'll rein in their spending, but it's all campaign talk. You know they can't help themselves. That's why no matter who's in office, gold protects you from the D.C. spending sprees. And where do you go to get that protection? Well, reach out to my friends Kyle and Hannah at Nashville Golden Coin. They will take good care of you and keep you well informed on precious metals opportunities. Act now and get your shield against out-of-control government spending. Go to NashvilleGoldenCoin.com. That's NashvilleGoldenCoin.com to set up your appointment today.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
A drifting kayak in the Cumberland River in Sumner County raises concerns. We'll have that story along with today's closing money news. That's coming up at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay Harper. As I mentioned a little earlier, I am not going to be here tomorrow. And Chris Hand, by the way, is going to be here tomorrow.
Yeah, he'll be pulling double duty.
Yeah, he's doing his regular show, and then he's coming back. I mean, and I appreciate that a lot. So I know you Chris. He'll be a good show. But because I'm going to be gone, I just want to mention that we're going to do an early version of Phone Your FARB Friday on Thursday. So in just a few moments after the news with Jay Harper, we're going to be doing Phone Your FARB Thursday. So, wow. This is, I know. Just throw convention out the window.
I don't know if I know what to do with that. It's just, got me all out of sorts.
I know. It's an out-of-body experience. But nonetheless, I know that our audience can rise to the occasion. So if you got something on your mind, you got to, be in your bonnet and, burn your saddle, all that stuff, get ready. Because we're just a few minutes away from the first round of Phone Your FARB Friday on Thursday.
Well, that's just confusing.
Yeah. Well, sorry. It's the best I can do. And so, get your thoughts together. In the meantime, Robbie Starbuck, oh my goodness. He's been very effective in getting major corporations to back off their previously held DEI policies. Ford Motor Company. The Ford Motor Company is the latest to decide that they will make big changes to their DEI policies and DEI programs within the Ford Motor Company. They sent a big. He sent them an email saying we're gonna talk about your DEI activities unless you decide you want to make a change. And so what they did was they sent him a copy of a letter that just went out to all Ford employees announcing that they're really scaling back on its messaging in support of LGBTQ inclusion. We made the decision early this year to stop participating in external culture surveys such as the Human Rights Campaign Corporate Equality Index and the various best places to work list, Ford said in a memo posted on a memo posted on social media by Robbie Starbuck. Now that means that Robbie Starbuck has caused major companies to completely change their DEI posture. Lowe's, Harley Davidson, the John Deere Company, the Tractor Supply, and now the Ford Motor Company have all made major changes simply because he said he was going to make a thing out of their DEI policies. And rather than, go through the whole Bud Light thing, they have made these changes in a significant way. So that has happened. And I have a feeling Robbie Starbuck is not done as yet. 30 minutes past the hour. Time for the news with Jay Harper.
Good afternoon. It is 4:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. 98 degrees here in Music City. A complete forecast and the latest traffic report are coming up. Sumner County officials, they're working hard to locate the owner of a kayak that was spotted drifting along the Cumberland River there in Sumner County. The kayak, it had all kinds of supplies in it, had fishing gear and such, as well as a motor, batteries, other personal items, but no passenger. The Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, they've been using sonar to search the area. Today, they've been using dogs, drones, and all of this taking place at the Bledsoe State Park. The kayak, they're surmising it could be connected to a man that was reported missing from Lebanon. We now turn to today's closing money news. For that, today we have Chuck Sievertson.
From ABC News, Wall Street now. Another record high close for the Dow, up 244 points. The S&P 500 down less than a point, and the NASDAQ index lost 40. Despite the late afternoon fade in the indexes, gainers outnumbered decliners by nearly 3-1 on the New York Stock Exchange. The Commerce Department upgraded its assessment of U.S. economic growth for the second quarter to 3% compared to a previous estimate of 2.8%. It's another signal that the economy remains strong despite pressure from stubborn inflation and high interest rates. Consumer spending, which accounts for about 70% of U.S. economic activity, rose at a 2.9% annual rate last quarter, up from the government's initial estimate. The market's gains came despite a drop in NVIDIA, which has ridden the big wave over artificial intelligence to become one of the S&P 500's most influential companies. Its shares fell 6.4% despite stellar results for the second quarter.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
King Associates and Insurance in Brentwood has been around for some 25 years as an independent agency, and trust me when I say an independent agency is the kind of insurance company that you want. You see, they can shop around. They don't have to just give you one product that they have sitting on the shelf. They can pick from a whole host of different companies and offer you a policy that truly meets your need, not just whatever they happen to have sitting there. So, you're going to get more insurance bang for your buck. And don't you want that? Yeah, sure you do. You want to make sure you're getting the best insurance possible for the least amount of money. And I love this. If you call this number, 615-329-8121, you will not reach a phone tree. You will not reach a call center. You will talk to an actual human being. That's right. And they will take care of your problem or find somebody real quick who can. Just compare and contrast that with what it's like to get on the internet and look at one of those, try to get a hold of some real human being at those internet insurance companies. It could take you hours and hours. And listen, multi-policy discounts, 20, 25, 30, 35%, huge savings possible. They're the king of that. So get your royal review with King & Associates Insurance. Log on to tkinginsurance.com. King Insurance & Associates, royal treatment and great rates.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It's 37 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7, and it is a hot day. I have officially at Nashville now 100 degrees, but it feels like it's 101. So there's that. Okay, so listen, a hot day, stay cool, and because, as I mentioned, I'm not going to be here tomorrow. And you know it's my favorite thing. I'm not going to deny myself the pleasure of doing this segment because it's my favorite thing. We're going to do an early edition of Phone Your Farb Friday on Thursday. That's right. What are you thinking? What's on your mind? You got a bee in your bonnet, a burr in your saddle, or a bug in some place where I hope you know you really never have a bug? Just get on our hotline, 615-737-9986. Step up onto our 100,000-watt soapbox and express yourself within boundaries because it is a family show. Maybe you heard something that you want to take umbrage with. Maybe you heard me say something and you think I'm a bonehead. Well, that's all right. We can still be friends. Just get on the line, 615-737-9986. Some people have gotten on early. They got things they want to talk about. So here we go. We'll start with Dave in Hendersonville. Hello, Dave. You're on with Brian on the Drive. What's on your mind today, Dave?
How you doing, Brian?
I'm good.
I just saw a video my wife sent me by Glenn Beck. He found it, put it out. It's Jamie Raskin saying that if Trump wins, they are going to disqualify him before the inauguration for Section 14.
The 14th Amendment of the Constitution?
Yes, the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, because of the so-called insurrection.
Yeah, well, listen, Jamie Raskin is a lot of talk. He's a lot of hot air. I know him a little bit because I covered him when I lived in D.C. He was part of the Maryland political scene there for some time. I don't put too much into what he had to say. I have not seen that clip, and so I want to be careful here. And I'm going to be, throughout the season, you may get irritated with me, but I want to be careful because, you can do some things with artificial intelligence now that makes it hard to know whether it's real or not. But if he has said that, I just don't think it's going to be a thing. Remember, Jamie Raskin has his opinion, but it doesn't mean a whole lot. It's his opinion. Again, I'll keep an eye out for that and see if I can run it. By the way, if you want to send it to our super text line, the link, that would be great. Dave in Hendersonville, thank you. Richie in Clarksville. Hello, Richie. You're on with Brian on the Drive. What's on your mind today?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, good. Because sometimes I go through this area, I lose the call. But listen, I'm also off tomorrow, too, so I'm glad I got to participate. Thanks for taking my call. Me and my friend were talking yesterday about politics, and I was discussing with him, I cannot believe with all the problems we have going on in the world and in the United States, how these Democrats and the independents are even considering voting for Kamala Harris, because we have to have a strong leader, a president that's, it's going to be the leader of the free world. So he says, the problem is how many people's going to have to die before they wake up, those ones that are choosing her. And I was like, wow, that means a lot, because her policies have got the open borders. We got people being killed by these criminals coming over the borders. We got the drugs. Americans are dying because of the fentanyl. We have soft on crime laws by their policies by the Democrats. And so we got the criminals got the upper hand on that, and they're killing Americans. And then we got what's going on in the Middle East with the foreign policies, is that we got all these wars. We got the Afghanistan withdrawal and all this U.S. soldiers there. So it's just all these deaths everywhere caused by these Democrat policies. So when are the people going to wake up? When you vote for that, that's on your conscience.
Well, it's hard for me to understand how anybody who takes time to look at the work. The problem is that some people get hung up on Trump's bluster. And if you've ever been around New Yorkers, you come to understand That's just the way New Yorkers are. That's just, that's very typical New York kind of bluster. You see that and a lot of people that you run into from New York. It's just the way things are in New York City. It's different. But people get hung up on that. But I don't know how anybody can look at the policies of Trump and how good they were for this country and how strong this country was and how respected it was around the world. I don't know how anybody can look at that and say, it's better now than it was then. It just doesn't make any sense to me. There's no accounting for taste. There really isn't. And one way or the other, I'm hoping that people will come to their senses as we get further down. Numbers are tight. I mean, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about numbers today, but battleground states have tightened up if you look at these polls, if you believe the polls, and it is getting tighter. But I just think that as time goes on, her act is going to wear a little thin. That's my hope. Deb out on the road. Hello, Deb. You're on with Brian on the Drive. What's up, Deb?
Hey, Brian. I was just wondering if it was just me. Earlier in the primary season, the Democrats were fighting tooth and nail to keep RFK Jr. off the ballot because they disagreed with the way he thought about certain issues.
Right.
Now they're trying to fight to keep him on the ballot.
That's apparently true. I mean, apparently, it all looks. They look at the numbers as they come down, and they crunch the numbers and saying, well, what would we do if he was there, and how would we do if he was not there? And apparently, in some battleground states, they do better if they keep him on the ballot. They think. So yeah, apparently they're telling him they're saying, yeah, we don't care if you want to take your name off the ballot. Yeah, I know it's your name and all, but we're not going to do it. And some of these battleground states are saying that it just is not going to happen. And it may have something to do with how close they are to sending out the ballots. As I said, we're going to start voting in some places in September, early September. So, maybe it's too late to make the changes. But I think it really has to do with them looking at the numbers and thinking, there's a political advantage to keep him on in some states. And by the way, in some states, it's not a political advantage. It's very clear. It's a case-by-case thing. And so they're looking at that, I think. Thank you for the call. Bonnie in Tullahoma. Hello, Bonnie, you're on with Brian on the Drive.
Yes, sir. I got really disturbed when I heard about what's going on in Colorado with that apartment complex. And I don't know if there's other apartment complexes there that's being controlled by a Venezuela gang. And I saw this on Fox News and I saw it on Google. It's for real. And they had guns and they were busting into the store. And there was some American people had been trying to get out of that apartment complex. And they finally got out of there. And it really scares me. So what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I've seen the story that you talk about. There's a Colorado complex and apparently being terrorized by a Venezuelan gang. Well, listen, I think we got a lot of these people that are in this country, and they came here because of the open border policies. They slipped right through. They came to America. They're bringing their style of thuggery to cities all across the nation, and I think there are other places like this. And I think it's another example of why having an open border is a bad thing. They care more. The Democrats do. They care more about potentially changing the demographics of American voters for years and years to come than they do about public safety, about your well-being, and about stopping the human suffering and the flow of fentanyl, etc. So yeah, I'm sorry to say this is part of it, and we should talk about those stories. We should make sure that we talk about them a lot so people know that the policies but they all say, when you look at the polls, everybody says they care about immigration. So if they truly care about immigration, how in the world can you support the Harris administration or Harris's campaign? I don't know how you can. It doesn't make any sense to me. Rod in Mount Juliet. Rod, what's up with you?
Hey, Brian. This is a local bee in your bonnet issue.
Okay.
And since you was in Mount Juliet, you know what I'm going to be saying. You got 4-mile stretch of road between Mount Juliet and 109. That's 2 lanes. And at the end of each, side is 4 lane. Both sides open up 4 lanes. And in the morning, it's congested. In the afternoon, it's just, backed up. And when are they, you got any idea when they're going to widen this thing, or what people's got to do to ask them to widen it?
Well, I don't know. The thing that I would tell you is that I think, your story could be replicated 1,000 times across our area. Everybody's got their own little bugaboo about where roads don't make any sense, or there's a bottleneck. It's usually the bottleneck that gets everybody upset. Those are 2 bottlenecks, and you're right. I've seen that. I used to live not far from there. Honestly. So I know it very well, know it firsthand. I don't know what to tell you, except that I know that the folks at TDOT have a list of the things that they would like to accomplish, and it's all about how much money they have and what has the biggest priority. But I would say complaining to TDOT, I think, is a helpful thing to do if you're concerned about it, because maybe that moves it up a little bit on the list of priorities. If they get more people concerned about it, maybe they will take a look at it a little closer. Also, doesn't hurt to talk to your local state representative, your state senator, have them talk to take on your case and see if they can get some. Chances are, most state reps that I know, most state senators that I know, they're already aware of where the problems are, and they're just trying to find the money to solve them as they come up. How about Rose? Rose calling in from Dixon. Hello, Rose. You're on with Brian on the Drive. What do you say, Rose?
Hey, Brian. So nice to talk to you. Love your show.
Well, thank you.
This might be just a little paltry thing, but every time I see Tim Walz on the stage, when he comes in and during their talk, he's putting his hands together like they're in the praying, like he's praying and bowing, and I don't know, that bothers me a lot, and I didn't know if anybody else had noticed that little thing he does.
It's funny. Some people would call that a tick. I know what you're talking about. He puts his hands together and he makes a point, kind of like this. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know if it bothers anybody else, but you know what? Communicators will tell you that, you should do anything. You should get rid of anything in the communication process that distracts from what? What is the purpose of a communication effort? To communicate, to talk, to get your point across. So if you're doing something that is interfering with your ability to get that message across, you got to get rid of it. You got to get shed of it. And it's a good thing now and then to have people sort of give you a sort of a check of the things that you do to make sure that you're not doing a lot of that stuff. I used to train people how to speak, public speaking, that kind of stuff. And 90% of it is getting those kind of things out of the way. Anything that distracts must go away. Anything that you do. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so thank you for that, Rose. I appreciate it. Michael in Goodlettsville. Hello, Michael. You're on with Brian on the Drive. What's on your mind today?
Hello. Thank you for the opportunity. In reference to the previous caller, in terms of the communication process, I would like to present Kamala's hand. But one of the other points I called in about, and everybody's talking about how hot it is, 95 plus. It's August in Middle Tennessee. I don't know why everybody's up in arms about that. But the real reason I called is if they're working so hard to keep RFK on the ballot, how come Biden is not on the ballot?
That's a great point. I mean, if you say, well, we're going to take Joe Biden's name off the ballot because he's not the nominee of the Democrat Party, then how much more difficult would it be for them to take off RFK? I mean, they can do it if they want to, but I have a feeling that they don't really want to. That's where we are.
Very much of a leap of imagination right there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Thank you so much. We'll call that 52 minutes past the hour. As much as we like it to be the case, if you have pain in your back, it generally is the nerves getting pressure put on them, pressure on your nerves. And there's no pill or spinal cream that's going to fix that. You really have a couple of choices. You can undergo surgery. And if you need surgery, listen, the folks over at the Wellness Institute will tell you so. But they have another plan, and maybe you should try it first. Non-invasive, non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Now, I am a big fan of them. Their state-of-the-art facilities, they have the latest high-tech equipment, and they offer the most cutting-edge non-surgical procedures. And getting better is important. So Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley are offering half-off spinal decompression treatments and half off the KT knee machine. Now, if you're a new patient, here's the deal. You'll get an exam, an x-ray if you need one. They will consult you as to which way you should go and give you a course of action, set up a consultation, and give you a plan of treatment. And then you'll begin your first treatment. And all of that will only cost you $23. Then after that, remember, the spinal decompression is half off. I'm Brian Wilson, and I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Call them today, 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Well, as I'm sure you know, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz appearing for a joint interview tonight on CNN. We've actually got some of the first details of that interview. Also, Donald Trump, he's been spending a lot of time in Michigan. He was back there again today. And a Putnam County, Tennessee counterfeit money operation's been busted. We'll have those stories at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, thank you, Jay Harper. And let me tell you, a lot has been said about this story of Trump visiting Arlington and some kind of conflict that took place backstage near the Tomb of the Unknowns. Listen, there's a little reported story out there which brings everything into focus and explains a lot of what was going on. And if you think you've heard the whole story, hang on. I'm going to get to that coming up in just a few moments after the news. Right now, 58 minutes past the hour, 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Hey, listen, just a couple of days left in August. Still time to take advantage of the promotional things going on at Busy Bee. Here you go. There is a Healthy Hive giveaway. If you purchase a new efficiency unit and register, you can then register to win the Healthy Hive giveaway, and you may be able to give away $2,000 sponsorship to a local school of the winner's choice. Must be within the Busy Bee service area, not out of region, not out of state. Now, here's another thing, the back-to-school special in the month of August. If you buy a Beehive membership, buy one, you'll be able to give a free membership to maybe a teacher or a faculty member or a staff member at any local school or institution of higher learning within our service area. The school, again, must be within our service area, not out of region, not out of state. So there are those options. Other things going on, I think this is a good one. A lot of people want to get a tankless water heater in their house. They're really amazing. Give you instant hot water. They have a plan here, $300 off a tankless water heater conversion. That'd be pretty good. Other things, how about $100 off home indoor air quality products? Just a few of the things that you can get if you act quickly. Tick-tock, the month is almost up. The August specials at Busy Bee. Here's the number, 615-775-7833 online at busybeehvac.com.
Good afternoon. It's 5 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A mix of clouds and sun and actually some pop-up showers in parts of our listening area. 98 degrees, though, here on Music Row. A forecast and a traffic report are coming up. Vice President Kamala Harris wraps up her two-day campaign swing through southern Georgia tonight with a rally. And, of course, there's that interview tonight on CNN. It's the first interview she's had since she became the Democratic nominee for president. ABC's Karen Travers, she has some of the first details of that interview.
CNN's Dana Bash asked Vice President Harris how voters should look at some of her changes in policy positions from when she ran in 2020, asking her if Americans should feel confident that what she says now will be her policy going forward. The vice president said she thinks the most important and significant aspect of her policy perspective and decisions is that her values have not changed. She pointed to issues like climate change and the border and spoke broadly about what the Biden-Harris administration has done and said repeatedly that value has not changed.
The vice president's Republican opponent, Donald Trump, campaigning in Potterville, Michigan today, vowing to make things better for American workers.
I'm here today with a simple message for the American auto worker and for the American worker. Your long economic nightmare will very soon be over. It's going to be over. Going to turn it around.
Back here in Tennessee, detectives in Putnam County, they've arrested 3 people who are accused of manufacturing and distributing counterfeit money. According to the Putnam County Sheriff's Office, the 3 were arrested Tuesday after detectives executed a search warrant at a hotel room at a Quality Inn in Monterey, Tennessee. Authorities said the 3 suspects passed out counterfeit $20 bills at local businesses in Cumberland County, Putnam County, and probably other places. During the search, law enforcement recovered thousands of dollars of fake $20 bills. In addition to the counterfeit money, officials said they also found a computer, special paper, ink, and a guide showing how to make counterfeit money. How about that? Further investigation allegedly uncovered evidence of identity theft tracking with dozens of credit card numbers and victims' information. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is 6 minutes past the hour, almost 7 minutes past the hour, 5 o'clock on this hot August day. It is hot. It's 98 degrees right now. We hit 100. I know. I saw it a minute ago. So, hang in there. Try to stay cool as you get home. We got a lot of stuff. A lot of cool news is what we got. And a couple of cool cats delivering it. That's right. Me and Chris Weber, and then you got Jay Harper back there. That's 3 cool cats.
I haven't been called a cool cat since the 60s, man.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even around then.
You wasn't even around in the 60s. All right. We got this controversy and it has to do with Trump and his appearance at Arlington Cemetery earlier in the week, as he went there to commemorate the anniversary of the Abbey Gate explosion that killed some 13 Americans in Afghanistan, injured about another 45, as I recall. And he went there, and I watched the thing, and I said, well, I watched it live as it happened. It was very respectful. He didn't try to make it a campaign event. He simply walked up with the family members of someone who'd lost someone on that day and presented a wreath in a very dignified way. That was it. Well, now come all these stories. There was some kind of confrontation backstage. The Trump campaign was told that they couldn't be there if they were going to, turn this into a political event. And there was some question about whether or not the cameras, should be allowed. You know what? It's a bunch of hooey, is what as far as I can tell. Now, look, it is a sacred place. If you've ever been there, and I've been there many times, it is a place where, it's almost awe-inspiring. It's such a somber and sober experience to watch the changing of the guard at the Tomb of the Unknowns, or a wreath presenting ceremony there at the Tomb of the Unknowns. And it is always something that you stand there and you can't help but be overcome by the solemnity of the event. It is really something. And it would not be the proper place to have a campaign event. But apparently there was something that happened backstage after, apparently, as far as I can tell, everything had been worked out. They knew exactly what was going to happen, and I'll give you more on that in a moment. There was apparently a staffer who tried to stop the former president and his people from attending the event as had been arranged. Saying, well, you're not supposed to use this as a space for a political campaign. I mean, it really wasn't that. He was there at the request of the families. It had all been cleared in advance. Everything was known. And apparently somebody inserted themselves at the last moment. And there was some kind of, confrontation, or they brushed past the person. I wasn't there. I don't know how it actually went down. But now everybody is out there talking about how Trump was, he was, his people, they pushed past, they shoved this person around, and I don't know what happened. Trump people say they've got video of it, and so maybe they will release it. But one way or the other, you haven't heard the whole story. That's what I'm going to tell you right now. So here's the story that got posted about 11:30 this morning on the Wall Street Journal website. Dispute grows over Trump's Arlington Cemetery visit as Vance says Harris can go to hell. We'll play that in a moment. Former President Donald Trump's honoring of fallen soldiers at Arlington National Cemetery sparked a controversy after an apparent altercation between campaign and cemetery staff over access for a Trump photographer during the visit. The U.S. Army defended its employee in a statement on Thursday, saying the person was abruptly pushed by a Trump campaign staffer, though they will not be pressing charges. The Army said the employee acted with professionalism and avoided further disruption, and that the matter is now closed. The incident was unfortunate, the Army said. It is also unfortunate that the ANC employee and her professionalism has been unfairly attacked, said a U.S. Army spokesperson. Trump's visit to the cemetery Monday was meant to honor the 13 American service members who were killed in Afghanistan during the attack on Abbey Gate amid the final days of the chaotic U.S. withdrawal from the war 3 years ago. More than 150 Afghan civilians also died during that attack. So, it became a question on the campaign trail. J.D. Vance, who's out there on the campaign trail every day, just crushing it, was asked a question about it.
Could you tell us more about the altercation that happened at the Arlington Cemetery?
Well, I think, first of all, the altercation at Arlington Cemetery is the media creating a story where I really don't think that there is one. There is verifiable evidence. There is verifiable evidence that the campaign was allowed to have a photographer there. There's verifiable, they were invited to have a photographer there. There's verifiable evidence that the families of these poor people who had their loved ones die 3 years ago at Abbey Gate, those 13 Americans, a lot of them were there with the president. They invited him to be there and to support them. That's not an insult to the memories of their loved ones. They wanted Donald Trump there, and thank God that we have a president who stands with our veterans instead of one who runs away from them. Now, it is amazing to me that you have apparently somebody at Arlington Cemetery, some staff member, had a little disagreement with somebody, and the media has turned this into a national news story. You know what I think our veterans care a lot more about? That Kamala Harris's VP nominee lied about his military service. I think that our veterans care a lot more about that. And the other thing our veterans care a lot more about is that 3 years ago, 13 brave, innocent Americans died, and they died because Kamala Harris refused to do her job, and there hasn't been a single investigation or a single firing. I don't, look, sometimes mistakes happen. That's just the nature of government, the nature of military service. But to have those 13 Americans lose their lives and not fire a single person is disgraceful. Kamala Harris is disgraceful. We're going to talk about a story out of those 13 brave, innocent Americans who lost their lives. It's that Kamala Harris is so asleep at the wheel that she won't even do an investigation into what happened, and she wants to yell at Donald Trump because he showed up. She can go to hell.
Well, I mean, didn't mince any words about it. Now, as Paul Harvey used to say, the rest of the story. This is probably the part of the story that you haven't heard. Let's see. This is from late yesterday, filed from the Daily Caller, and this is stuff that that is not being reported elsewhere about how it all was worked out in advance. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson had to intervene to get former President Donald Trump into Arlington National Cemetery for the third anniversary of the Afghanistan withdrawal with Gold Star families, a family told the Daily Caller. The Gold Star families who lost their children during the Biden administration's withdrawal from Afghanistan invited Trump to the Arlington National Cemetery. They invited him. He laid a wreath there for the 13 service members who were killed serving their country in Afghanistan. However, a Gold Star family told the caller that Arlington National Cemetery was trying to make it difficult for the former president to appear for the ceremony to honor their children, something the families requested. Arlington National Cemetery told Gold Star families that they could only be there for a specific time that did not work for everyone's schedule, and were also told the president could not join them at their gravesite, at the children's gravesite, the family told the caller. Wow. Like, who are they to say that a former president can't, at the invitation of the family, join them at their children's gravesite? Chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Representative Michael McCall, explained to the caller, Daily Caller, that he was contacted by Gold Star parents Darren Hoover and Kelly Barnett, the parents of Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover. Hoover and Barnett told him that Arlington Cemetery was giving the Gold Star parents of the U.S. service members killed at Abbey Gate a hard time about coordinating a ceremony with Trump on the anniversary of their deaths. McCall immediately reached out to Johnson to ask for his assistance with the matter, and the caller is told he continued to track it until it was fixed. When Darren and Kelly contacted me, writes McCall, I was furious to hear their request to have President Trump join them to commemorate the anniversary of Taylor's death was being stymied, along with several other family members of U.S. service members killed in Abbey Gate. I immediately asked what I could do to help and reached out to Speaker Johnson to see what he could do. Thankfully, Speaker Johnson and his team acted quickly and were able to get the situation resolved. But something like this should never have happened. Gold Star families have already suffered enough, McCall told the caller. Republican California Representative Darrell Issa has called on Biden to meet with these Gold Star families on multiple occasions. His office told the caller he was present for the ceremonies on Monday and had been in contact with Arlington National Cemetery leading up to the anniversary. The administration, says Issa, absolutely interfered with the tributes to the 13 fallen. In its war on Trump, it made the Gold Star families collateral damage. Our office worked with Arlington National Cemetery to move the time of the event to a time that would accommodate the attendance of President Trump. That was done as a request by the families to this office, and they were not receiving that assistance from Arlington National Cemetery. Two sources close to the discussions told the Daily Caller. Another source familiar with the conversation between the Gold Star families and Arlington National Cemetery said that after Johnson's phone call, the entire situation changed. The Speaker of the House had to get involved. Representatives Issa Mast and Chairman McCall were instrumental in assisting the Gold Star families. After the Speaker's call, the situation shifted significantly. It was only 3 days before the ceremony, and Arlington National Cemetery waited until the last minute to confirm key components of the event with the family. Arlington Cemetery officials claimed the families didn't want any media, photography, or videography, contradicting what the families had actually requested. The families were fine with the media designated by the Trump team, but Arlington kept pushing back, obstructing the process. The source continued. This would not have happened without Speaker Johnson. Here is someone who was involved. Hoover told the caller in an emotional phone call that he and other Gold Star families were the ones who called Trump and asked him to show up. It wasn't the Trump campaign trying to push themselves on this event. It were the families. He also criticized the Biden administration for not contacting them over the past 3 years. This is a quote from one of the parents. We extended the invitation to President Trump. We are the ones that asked him to come. We are the ones that asked him to assist in laying a wreath for our son and for the shooting, for Sergeant Canal and for Cole. They're the ones that asked. President Trump didn't come to us. His team did not come to us and say, hey, this would be good for business. No, President Trump has stood by us from day one. He has been compassionate. He has been loving. He's been understanding. He's taking the mantle of our outrage a little bit because, to be quite honest with you, being very frank, we haven't heard diddly squat from the current administration in 3 years. The families asked Trump to be there. Just because he happens to be a former president doesn't mean that he should not be allowed to be involved in such a commemoration. What disqualifies him simply because he happens to have held the position of president at some time? The families asked for this to happen. The families should have gotten that taken care of in no short order. The way it sounds to me is that they didn't. It was embarrassing to the Biden folks because they don't want to talk about Afghanistan. They weren't going to be there, and Trump, was going to come, and they didn't want that to happen. And so I think they tried to push to keep it from happening, and that's why you saw the Army's reticence at first. Then the Speaker of the House gets involved, and everything gets worked out. It is all worked out. I mean, the Trump campaign has emails and text messages that telling them exactly what they can do and what they cannot do, and it was all worked out. And then at the last second, there was a staffer, a woman, we are told, who inserted herself into the process and tried to stop the thing at the last second. Now, it had all been worked out. And as J.D. Vance has said, it's all verifiable. They've got the emails. They've got the text messages. This was all worked out in advance, and somebody tried to mess it up at the last minute. And whatever happened, I don't know. I wasn't there. They brushed past this person. They elbowed their way past him and said, no, we've already worked this out. Get out of our way. Don't stop us. And you know what? I think this was a busybody, or who is this person? They say a volunteer. Maybe an employee, a staff employee there. Well, who is that person? What are their politics? Why were they getting involved at the last minute after all of these hurdles had already been worked out? Trust me, when you're dealing with the military district of Washington, and I've been in these shoes from time to time, nothing happens that hasn't been worked out in advance. It just doesn't happen. And so for her to try to insert herself at the last moment, I think was out of bounds. And now you know, as they say, the rest and the entire story. 22 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
A Texas man is free today after spending 30 years in jail for a crime he did not commit. And Donald Trump proposing help for those seeking IVF treatments. We'll have those stories coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Let's call it 27 minutes now past the hour, 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. We're just about 2 hours and change till we hear that Kamala Harris interview.
2 hours, 33 minutes.
There you go. Thank you. And we've got, we've gotten some advanced reading on that. I'll share that with you a little later in the broadcast. They've done advanced clips. She says, number one, her values have not changed, though many of her policies have. I don't understand the difference, but we'll see. And then she said she would be willing to name a Republican to serve in her cabinet if elected. Beyond that, we don't know a whole lot about it, but we're 2 hours and change.
2 hours, 32 minutes, 25 seconds.
That's good. I want to mention that I'm going to be gone tomorrow, and Chris Hand, Superman Chris Hand, is going to be doing double duty. Going to do his regular show in the morning. And then, if that weren't enough, and my gosh, don't you think it should be, he'll come back and he's going to do my show. I'm headed to Texas tomorrow to spend some time with the greatest sister a man could ever have, my sister Gwen, or as she's known among the family, Gwendolyn.
Oh, the full name.
Yeah, that's the wow. Gwendolyn. She doesn't like to be called Gwendolyn.
She's being reprimanded. That's probably what she feels like.
Yeah, if she ever Gwendolyn Ann Wilson, she was in trouble. Well, anyway, so going to see my sister, and of course, the thing about it is, rarely did I hear that. There are many times I heard Brian Glenn Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
I knew, well, if my middle name got invoked, I was in trouble. I got the best sister, and sadly, she doesn't have the best brother.
She's got an okayish brother, right?
He's an okay guy, but I'm telling you, they broke the mold when they made her, and me, I'm just one of those things that you have to endure. So anyway, I love to visit with my sister. We're going to Amarillo, and guess what I'm going to be doing?
What?
2 things that are on the agenda. Gwen always tries to have something for us to do while we're there. Glass blowing.
Okay.
Don't inhale.
No, please don't.
Most important thing about glass blowing.
That's rule number 1.
Rule number 1. I have a feeling that somebody's going to get hurt, somebody's going to get burned, or I don't know, one way or the other. And then the other thing is, we're going to see the Amarillo Sod Poodles play.
Ooh.
The Sod Poodles is a minor league baseball team in Amarillo. They got a nice little stadium down, and you say, well, Sod Poodles, where do they come up that? There's a great story about it. When they were coming to town, they had a little contest, help us name the team.
Yeah. And
somebody came up, allegedly, with this idea of calling them the Sod Poodles because they claimed this is what the settlers who came in on wagons across the Texas Panhandle called prairie dogs.
Yeah.
They called them Sod Poodles. All right, so the Sod Poodles, they sort of caught on. And everybody decided, well, that's pretty cool. Let's call them the Sod Poodles. And then this whole thing built up around calling the minor league baseball team the Sod Poodles. And they ended up naming them the Sod Poodles. And it wasn't until at the end they found out that this was a whole scam pulled by the people who were bringing the minor league baseball. They were the ones who put they even went as far as to put a Wikipedia page dedicated to Sod Poodles so that people could refer to it when they were doing research on Sod Poodles. This would show up. So it completely made up. The settlers never called them Sod Poodles.
They didn't know what sod or poodles were, probably.
Yeah, well, they knew what sod was. Poodles, I'm not so sure that was a thing back then. So, but anyway, they're called in good-natured way the Sod Poodles. I'm going to make sure I grab my Sod Poodles cap.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
When I arrive for the Sod Poodles game. So, and then very quickly, I'm going to be a little late, Jay. I'm sorry. We got a big surprise coming when we get back. In the middle of next week, we have a surprise. It's a good one, and we're going to give you a musical hint.
Okay.
And ready? 1, 2, 3. Now.
It's a jaunty little tune.
Yeah. Does it ring any bells?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Well, okay. You ready? Enough of that. That's all I can give you because I've been sworn to secrecy. But I will say that before I get back, you will figure it out.
It will become clear.
It will become clear before I get back here on Tuesday. All right?
Fair enough.
All right. And with that, it's time for the news with Jay Harper at 5:32.
Good afternoon, 5:32 it is, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A mix of clouds and sun, mostly sunny though, 98 degrees. The forecast and a traffic report are coming up. A Texas man has been exonerated more than 3 decades after he was wrongfully convicted of aggravated robbery. ABC's Michelle Franzen has this good story.
Benjamin Spencer spent more than 30 years in prison after being convicted of a crime he didn't commit. A Dallas County judge granting a motion filed by the district attorney's office to dismiss the charges after an investigation found prosecutors in the case withheld evidence decades ago. The 59-year-old was released in 2021 pending the case, but now officially free. Spencer addressing the court, thanking those who supported him.
Apologize for any inconvenience that this may have caused in the past, but I really appreciate you.
Well, while on the campaign trail in a battleground state, that would be Michigan, Donald Trump promising free IVF treatments. Here's ABC's Stephen Portnoy.
I'm announcing. Speaking in central Michigan, the former president said if he's elected, the government or private insurers would pay all costs for IVF treatments.
Because we want more babies, to put it very nicely.
Trump also announced he would allow taxpayers to deduct what he called major newborn expenses. With Democrats arguing Republicans oppose IVF, Trump says his announcement proves he's totally in favor of it. He offered no details as to how much his proposals might cost.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Let me tell you about the folks over at United Structural Systems. Listen, a good company, been in business for some 30 years, thousands and thousands and thousands of satisfied customers. You know all that. We talk about that all the time. They have some specials going on right now. If you do some work with them, and by the way, I just had the folks at USS out to my house. They're going to be doing some work at my place. And I got to tell you, it was a great experience. They came out. It didn't cost me a penny for them to come out to the house and take a look around. They came up with some ideas from some things I need to work on, and they gave me a bunch of different options, and that's what they'll do for you. You never pay a penny until the job is done, and you're completely satisfied. That's one of the things about USS that you'll love. And right now, any job over $2,500, you get 10% off. 10% off. Financing, same as cash options available. No payment, no interest for 1 year with approved credit, of course. If you have foundation issues, you have a basement that is wet or a crawl space that is wet, needs waterproofing. You have a mold problem in your crawl space, or maybe you have some concrete that is sinking or sloping. All of these things can be made better by the folks at USS. Serving Middle Tennessee, Southern and Western Kentucky, they guarantee their best at USS. Here's the number, 615-488-7855. Learn more at USSTN.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It's 39 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson on this hot August afternoon. Glad that you're with us. We are 2 hours, 21 minutes, and 33, 32, 31 seconds away from that CNN interview with Kamala. I know you'll all be sitting, you'll be sitting with great anticipation for that, but there'll be a good discussion about that tomorrow. But because I'm going to be gone tomorrow, and it's my favorite part of the week, and I don't want to be denied the pleasure of doing it, we're going to do another round of Phone Your Farb Friday on Thursday. What are you thinking? What's on your mind? 615-737-9986. That's right. Got a completely empty call board. You'll get right in. 615-737-WWTN. Maybe you got a bee in your bonnet. Maybe you have a burr under your saddle. Maybe you have a bug, a very unpleasant bug in a place that I hope you never have a bug. Just get on our 100,000-watt soapbox and express yourself. I mean, get it off your chest. You'll feel better. 615-737-9986. Maybe you want to take umbrage with something that you've heard. Maybe there's something out there that you have a question about. Sometimes we answer questions if we know the answer. Whatever it is, you just, if you got something that you really feel like, man, this is just eating me alive. I've got to get this off my chest. Now is your time. 615-737-9986. Okay, we got one ready to go and others calling in right now in short order. So let's go to Brian out on the road. Hello, Brian. You're on with Brian on the drive. And I must ask, how do you spell Brian?
Brian.
The correct way. Thank you very much. Yeah, okay, so you get correct. Okay, what's your issue? What's on your mind?
Okay, you're driving down the road, and somebody's got to pull out in front of you, and then they do 30 miles an hour, want you to rear end them so bad. Why?
I don't know. I must tell you that you're not the first person to call. That is, if there's one thing that happens out on the roadway that irritates people more than anything else, it's that. Is that, somebody, on your butt, you get out of, they come around you and then they slow down. Now, is it them being passive aggressive? Like, I'll show you what it feels like. Or is it just, people being boneheaded? I don't know which it is. But that one thing, I got to tell you, comes up at least once a month on Phone Your Farb. It really drives people crazy. Don't do that. And by the way, if you don't play games out on the road. Just be the bigger person, okay? Be the bigger person. Drive safely. And yeah, there are boneheads, but just let it go. It's not worth getting into a big fuss over. Alan and Gallatin. Hello, Alan. You're on with Brian on the drive. What do you say, Alan?
Hey, Brian, I want to pick at you about your trip that you're going out of town on. You said several weeks ago, I think, that you would be here through the election. Now you're leaving us again.
No, this was
that. You're becoming just like Joe Biden. My number two is the comment yesterday. I couldn't call in, but about the male genders, males now recognizing as females wanting to play in women's sports.
Mm-hmm.
With all the contacts that you have in D.C. and everywhere, could you not get that in front of Trump or one of his people to bring up?
Well, I have a feeling it will get brought up. It has been brought up, but I mean, what I want to know is that question going to be asked of Kamala Harris? Because I think it's a real game changer. The answer to that question is a game changer. There's no way she wins in that question because she's going to irritate somebody that they don't want to irritate. And you talk about hemming and hawing going on, but if you get her to say what I think she might say, it could really change the nature of this election. I feel that way. Now, as for my being gone for a couple of days, I think I said for the most part I'm going to be here. I think I left a qualifier in there because I've known about this trip for some time, and I've got one or two odd days coming up. But I mean, for the most part, I'm going to be buckled down right here and not disappear like Joe Biden did. I promise. Larry in Clarksville, you're on with Brian on the Drive. What do you say, Larry?
Hey, Brian, thanks for taking my call. And first of all, it's a much-deserved trip, although you're going to be missed.
Well, you're in good hands with Chris Hand, no problem.
I know, Brother Chris. My question is, why did Kamala have to have her Stolen Valor POS vice president with her for this interview?
Yeah.
And then why did they have to tape it? Why could they not do it live? And I'm looking to see just how many edits there are.
Yeah, here's the thing.
I think your sister has a pretty damn good brother.
Well, thank you. You're very kind. Listen, here's what the deal is. I mean, I think that she, well, I'll put it. She's a scaredy cat. She's a chicken. She is so afraid that she's going to get in a situation where she says something stupid or she doesn't have an answer, that she needed somebody who could jump in and take it if she blanked or started to talk in word salad. Somebody who would be there to, step in if needed. It's been talked about as being her emotional support governor. It's like an emotional support animal. It's just you feel more comfort if you're not hanging out there alone. But, and as far as being taped, that was probably at the request of the campaign. But if CNN has any integrity about them at all, they will post the raw online. Now, look, everybody has the right. Every news organization does it, and you should do it fairly, and you should do it, in a way that doesn't change anything that happened that's newsworthy. But for time, sometimes you need to make edits, and you decide what the news is. News people get to decide what the news is. But if you are covering up something disastrous that happened, then it's a whole different story. And I think the way you avoid all that is you say, yeah, we made these edits because we thought we wanted to get as much of the newsy stuff in, and we needed to make sure it fit within a certain amount of time. That's fair. But then you put the raw online so people can decide whether or not you covered up anything. That's the way you have integrity about it. Now, I don't know what CNN plans to do, but they should do that. And we'll see exactly how much integrity CNN has. After that, then you have to wonder, is this a fair representation of what happened or a cleaned up representation of what happened? Rod in Portland, you're up next on the Drive. What do you say, Rod?
Hey, Brian, I've got a ethical question for you. I saw an ad for D.T. McCall's from Senator Mark Pody. He introduced himself as Senator Mark Pody representing D.T. McCall's. I just don't think that's really ethical for him to use his Senate position to make money doing advertisements.
Well, I don't know if there's any money exchange. You don't know either. Listen, I have a lot of respect for the people at D.T. McCall, and I have a lot of personal respect for Mark Pody. I think he's a good guy. I don't know the details of all that, but I don't imagine it's, I don't know that there's anything particularly wrong with it. I have not seen that ad, by the way. But I have been a spokesman for D.T. McCall. And I find them to be really good people, good conservative folks, and it doesn't particularly bother me. But thank you for calling. Alex in Nashville, you're up next on the Drive. What do you say, Alex?
Hey, Brian, thanks for taking my call. I really got a question for you around some of these recent polls with camouflage up there. And, the media carrying her water got me a little nervous until I looked at these most recent battleground polls where Trump is really holding his own. I think the Hill and Emerson had out recently, maybe today or yesterday. It's neck and neck. And when I dove down in those things, Brian, it looked like camouflage is getting 70% of the young vote, and that's where this bump has come from. And I just don't know if they're, the 25-year-olds, 30-year-olds are going to show up as much as some of us who are a little more experienced to what politicians really are when they tell you one thing and act the other way.
Young people have a history of not showing up on Election Day. And that is true. And who knows? I did not look at the internals. I did see Fox News Battleground has Harris leading in Arizona, Georgia, Nevada. Trump leads in North Carolina, but everything is within the margin of error. All of the polls are. The Hill has Trump leading in Arizona, North Carolina, and Wisconsin, and Harris leading in Georgia, Michigan, and Nevada. They are tied in Pennsylvania. And again, every single one of those is well within the margin of error. But if you look at the internals and you look at the demographics, then that could give you an idea of, where the support is. What I read recently was that most of Kamala Harris's support were women that had come back to the fold. They couldn't have, they just couldn't bring themselves to vote for Joe Biden, but now they're more comfortable. So a good number of it is that. But probably there has been some impact in the young vote as well. Traditionally, young voters go Democratic. Many of them, though, I'm being told that Trump people feel very confident about how they're doing with young people. There's been something going on out there where a great number of young people have decided that they want to vote conservative and not Democratic. All right, there you go. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate it. Let's go to Patrice. Is it Patrice and McEwen?
Yes, it is.
Hello,
Hi.
Patrice. You're up with Brian on the drive.
Oh, nice to hear your voice. And Brian, yes, my question is for Carmela. Her and her group, the Democratic Party, they're always talking about joy, joy, joy. Well, I'd like to ask her. I heard in one of her tapes that she had said she wants to get rid of Merry Christmas.
I think she did say that a few years back. Yes, I'm pretty sure I remember that. Yes, I think she said it. She said we can't have a Merry Christmas when I forget what it was. I think it had something to do with border. I think it was some kind of border comment, and said we can't really have a Merry Christmas as long as there are people in this country who can't find a pathway to citizenship or something like that. That's my memory. I need to double check that. But yeah, she did say at one time that she could not say Merry Christmas because she didn't feel it in her heart. You won't hear anything like that this time around. None of that nonsense. They're controlling the message so very carefully. So very carefully. Got time for one more, Chris, or are we done? One more? Okay. Let's go to Carter at White House. Carter, you're on with Brian on the drive.
Good afternoon, Brian, sir. I just wanted to talk about, kind of divulge from the previous topics here, but the state of parenting nowadays. I believe that parenting has really taken a shift, and I know this has been happening over the past couple of generations, but I'll get to the chase. And I believe that the consequences of what we've done as a society have resulted in a generation of children who are completely dependent. I mean, there's really no independence. And I believe there's a lot of that can be attributed to things like social media and the fact that we live in a world that's a lot more dangerous than it used to be. But, I mean, in the industry that I work in, I see a lot of people who are of the age where you would think that they would live a life of independence, free from control and free from the need of their parents to do everything for them. But unfortunately, that's just not the case.
You know what my big theory on that is, and I tried to make sure that my daughter, was able to stand on her own. And although I can't really point to one thing where it happened, I think, and with my kid, it's a pretty good kid, actually. But the one thing that I think is wrong in America today is that we don't let kids make mistakes. I think, if I go look back in my life, I've learned the most when I made a mistake. And my dad wouldn't bail me out either. You had to deal with it. You made the mistake, you had to own it, and you had to work your way through it. And, parents today, I think they hover, they step in before a kid can make a mistake. And you know what? Sometimes kids can learn a lot. Obviously don't want them to go out and commit a huge mistake. You must step in at some point. But I mean, sometimes the little things in life where they make a mistake, that's where they learn the most. I don't think it's a problem to make a mistake. It's a problem not to learn from your mistake. It is 54 minutes past the hour. All right, listen, Grace Point Healthcare, I talk about them all the time. You know that they're the place to go for affordable, comprehensive, and convenient medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. A couple of things they want to mention is that, maybe you got a kid that's going out for some sport right now and they need a physical. The Grace Point provides complete physicals for kids of all ages. If you're making an overseas trip, sometimes you've got to get travel immunizations. Grace Point offers that and is CDC certified for yellow fever and all international immunization protocols. And because, as I mentioned before, they are convenient. They will see you the same or next day. You don't have to wait days or weeks to see a doctor. That is modern medicine at your convenience, delivered the old-fashioned way. Located on Main Street in Franklin, 615-599-6868 to set up an appointment.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Hey, listen, was it stinky the last time you were at an auto repair shop? You know, smelly, greasy old rags lying around, filthy. You didn't want to touch anything, afraid he's going to get all over your clothes. I'll tell you another thing that stinks is the repair shop that keeps your car forever. They're not honest, and they don't call you back when they say they will. Now, if that was your last experience at a vehicle repair shop, you need to try URFARB. URFARB will take the stink out of European auto repair. At URFARB, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit, no high-pressure sales tactics. At URFARB, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment, and never pay dealer prices. They are located in URFARB, Franklin. URFARB is located in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and their newest location is Mount Juliet. Call this number, 844-URFARB. That's 844-URFARB, or visit myurafix.com. That's myurafix.com, and tell them your friend and radio buddy Brian Wilson sent you.
Good evening. It is 6 p.m. and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Mostly sunny, 97 degrees. A weather forecast and another traffic report are on the way. Vice President Kamala Harris wrapping up her 2-day campaign swing in Georgia with a rally in Savannah today.
We have some hard work ahead of us, but we like hard work. Hard work is good work.
And, of course, Harris and her VP nominee, Tim Walz, they will be appearing for their joint interview tonight on CNN. Former President Trump, he's campaigning in Michigan today. He was in the town of Potterville talking about the economy and blaming Vice President Harris for her role in it.
She wants to talk about the future, but she's been there for 3.5 years. She only wants to talk about the future because the past has been the job they've done. Let me tell you. He's the worst president in the history of our country, and she's the worst vice president.
A delegation from Ukraine expected to arrive in Washington this week. Officials say the group hopes to convince the White House to loosen up the restrictions on using long-range weapons to strike deep inside Russia. ABC's Ann Flaherty reports.
Ukrainian leaders are set to arrive in Washington this week with the goal of ramping up pressure on the White House to let it use long-range strike systems deeper inside Russian territory. A U.S. official tells ABC News it's unlikely the White House would change its policy. In addition to there being a limited number of the types of missile systems that Ukraine wants, Russia has moved its aircraft deeper inside its country, making it harder to reach the targets.
We now move to the southwestern United States, where the police in Tempe, Arizona, they're investigating the death of a Wells Fargo worker who had apparently been dead in her cubicle for 4 days. And nobody noticed.
Denise Prudhomme scanned into work at a Wells Fargo building on a Friday this month, and it wasn't until the next Tuesday that police were called because her body had been found. Local reports say nobody noticed. She was dead at her desk in her cubicle, and workers smelled a foul odor and then found her, and security called police. Tempe police say she never scanned out after that 7 a.m. Friday entry scan. The cause of death is unknown, but there were no signs of foul play. Police say the investigation is ongoing.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
It is 6 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson. I am your friend and radio buddy, and you're listening to The Drive on this Thursday evening. Still hot, 97 degrees out there. Whew. It's been a tough few days. We hit 3 digits today. I saw it with my own eyes. So I don't know what the official temperature will be, but in Nashville, at least when I saw it was at least 100.
Well, yay for us, I guess.
Yeah, boy, exciting. So anyway, we are 1 hour, 54 minutes, 26, 25, 24, 23 seconds away from that big Kamala interview on CNN. I know you're waiting with bated breath to see what she's going to say. Look, this thing is honestly, it's not the way that it should be done. She ought to be able to sit down by herself without the governor being there as her, her emotional pet governor, support governor, I guess is the way you call it. She ought to be able to answer questions without that. And she ought, and you know what's going to happen is they're going to say, well, we did this one, we got through it, and now we're not going to do any more. And when people say, when are you going to do another sit-down interview? We just did one. We did one. We told you we would. We did. They're not going to do more. They're not going to do a lot of these. This was a way to check off the box. Just like when they bugged her about, when you're going to go to the border, when you go to the border, when you go to the border. And she finally said, well, I'm going to go to the border. And she went for an hour and didn't see anything. But now, if anybody says, well, when you go to the border, she said, we went to the border. We went to the border. She didn't really go to the border, but, she can claim that she at least went near the border on a town that sits near the border. So, that's the way this is going to work. We have a couple of advanced clips. Here is one where she's talking about, obviously you've got to ask a question about why you flip-flopping so much. And apparently Dana Bash asked some question like that. And here's the answer that we got.
Now is going to be your policy moving forward.
The most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned.
So now her positions have changed. Her values have not. I don't know that you can draw a distinction there, but that's what she has said.
In the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act and what we need to do to secure our border. That value has not changed.
Her values have not changed. Her opinions have. There's no doubt. I mean, her positions have. Climate change. She talks about climate change. She talks a good game. Well, my values, I very much support the Green New Deal. All right, well, let's get specific. Do you believe fracking should be allowed or not allowed? I mean, I hope that Dana Bash drilled down. If she doesn't, it's a crime against journalism. It truly is. And I will call her out if that's the case. So I don't know if there were follow-ups. There should have been follow-ups. You can't let somebody throw out a platitude like that. Well, my values haven't changed. Okay, but that doesn't mean that your positions haven't. Those are different things. Why did you, if your values haven't changed and you say that your values support the Green New Deal, then how can you now be in favor of fracking when you weren't before? All right. How can you say that, you're not in favor of EV mandates when you were before? How can you say that? There's another little clip here. This is about, I think this has to do with, she was asked, would you appoint a Republican to your administration? Would you have somebody that served in your administration as a Republican? Here it comes. Hope it works. Oh, no. I got to stop that. I can't. I'm sorry. They threw a commercial in there. They didn't do that before. But she said she would. I can't play that for you. I apologize. Tried to take a shortcut. Never works. You know how that goes. So here we go. This is from CNN itself. This is their take on it. Vice President Kamala Harris on Thursday offered her most expansive explanation to date on why she's changed some of her positions on fracking and immigration, telling Dana Bash her values haven't shifted, but that her time as president provided new perspectives. Her time as vice president provided new perspectives on some of the country's most pressing issues. In the CNN exclusive sit-down interview, Harris also said she would name a Republican to serve in her cabinet if elected. And she brushed off her rival's questioning of her racial identity, dismissing Donald Trump's suggestion that she happened to turn black as the same old tired playbook. Pressed by Bash on her reversals on oh, good, maybe she did press her on fracking and decriminalizing illegal border crossing, Harris sought to explain why her positions had changed. In all, the joint interview in Savannah with her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, there by her side, their first since becoming the Democrat presidential ticket, provided one of the clearest looks into Harris's position and her plans for the presidency. How should voters look at some of the changes you've made? Is it because you have more experience and you've learned more about the information? See, now this is where I think that she makes a mistake. Ask a simple and direct question. Don't give her options. You're feeding her options here. Why have you changed your positions? You said that you were against fracking in all cases, and now you say you're okay with it. And then she gets into the thing about values. She draws a distinction between positions and values. Well, your values should be, your position should be informed by your values, right? I don't know. It seems like she's trying to find a quibble, a way to get out of it. There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking, she said in 2019. See, that's the thing. We're gonna be able to pull up all those way back quotes tomorrow once we see exactly what she said. On Thursday, Harris pointed to the Biden administration's Inflation Reduction Act, which provided record investment in combating climate change, as an example of her climate record. We have set goals for the United States of America and, by extension, the globe around which we should meet certain standards of reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. That value has not changed. Okay, fracking, though. You can say this stuff, but I mean, where's the follow-up? Where's the follow-up? Okay, I'm going to give them the opportunity to show us the entire interview. I'll be watching, and I know that Chris Ann will be watching when he fills in tomorrow. He'll have plenty to say about it. But, I mean, I don't. If you say your values haven't changed, aren't your positions informed by the values that you hold? If they are not, then they're not very good positions, right? They're not a true reflection of the person you are. So what are we voting for? The things that you say, that your policies, the flip-flops, or should we just look at your promise that you're going to follow your values? And if you're going to follow your values, how can you hold the positions that you now hold? Look, it doesn't make any sense. They're just trying to get through this thing unscathed. Two things I'm looking for is, did Dana Bash push back on this stuff? Did she challenge her? I don't think I heard an answer to my question. Could you please tell me what your position is on fracking? Can you please tell me what your position is on the border wall? I mean, those are just easy, direct questions. Just give me what it is, and give me a whole lot of gobbledygook. She's good at the gobbledygook. I got a couple of examples of that. You want to hear them? This is new stuff. Kamala Harris being asked a question about DEI. And here we go. Kamala Harris being asked a question about DEI.
On a different front, Axios this week reported that President Trump, if he gets a second term, will sort of dial back, for lack of a better term, DEI programs that the Biden administration has put in forth. Obviously, I know you disagree with that. I obviously believe that you don't want him to get a second term. That said, if that does happen, what do you think that would do to race relations in this country?
Well, let me say we're going to win, so it's not going to happen. But I think that, listen, today is actually, I believe, an anniversary in terms of Dr. King, right? And
well, hold it. What anniversary is that? I don't know what it is. It doesn't ring a bell.
It's the I Have a Dream speech, 1963.
So this is that. She mentions that. Okay, well, there. Thank you for that. I didn't know. But then, if you are in trouble on a question about race relations, invoke the name of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., right?
I was just in Selma, and we acknowledged the 59th anniversary of Bloody Sunday. I think it's really important that we as Americans always embrace our history, the parts that we're proud of and the parts that we're not proud of, but that we can't forget. And we should all agree that we should teach history. We should learn history if we're to ever have an accurate idea of where we want to go and where we don't want to go in the future. And that means also acknowledging the importance of diversity. It means acknowledging the importance of the fact that everyone should have equal opportunity to compete and equity.
Hold it. She just threw those together, didn't she? Equal opportunity to compete, that's equality, and equity, which means, and everybody has the same outcome.
And then, of course, inclusion, Of
course, we're in favor of inclusion. Everybody's in favor of, it's really about that one word, isn't it? Which she just sort of blows past.
Hey, let's look around the room and see who's not here, and did we leave the door open?
All right, so I'm not sure I got a real good answer to that. I mean, she's sort of talking in circles again, I think. And there's another one here. Let's see. She talked about, leadership. Teamwork. She's talking to a bunch of kids on the campaign trail that they have just performed some kind of musical number, and she's talking about, how wonderful it is that you have found the ability to work as a team.
Our country is counting on you. All of you. You are leaders.
Leaders.
By the very fact that you all are here in this room, doing what you do at this incredible school, doing it as one big team, understanding all of the different parts that fit together to create a team.
Okay, she's talking to a bunch of high schoolers like they're in kindergarten. All right, she does that a lot. Here's what Trump had to say about this interview.
First thing I want to do is say, why isn't it live? It's not a live interview. It's an interview that's going to be taped and then edited and then put out. So that's not even an interview. Then she's doing it with her vice president sitting there. So She's not very smart. When they ask her a question that she can't answer, she'll just look at him. You answer it. I can't imagine. Everyone's waiting for her to do an interview because she's been a very big failure in interviews before, as you know, a tremendous failure. And she brings in the vice president, who, by the way, isn't so good himself. He's been a disaster, this guy. He has been a disaster. His state is in a state of shock from his governorship. He's been a horrible governor. You look at employment numbers, you look at the people that are leaving, you look at all of the problems. Minneapolis is a burned down. They never built it back. It was terrible. He's been a terrible governor. It was a crazy pick. But he's sitting with her to help her out. So this is not the kind of a person we need as president.
No, we ought to have a person who can sit there and answer questions on the fly. I mean, like, God love him, Donald Trump will answer questions just about any time a microphone is present. J.D. Vance the same way, not afraid to take questions. Compare and contrast that with the very cautious way that they handle that kind of situation around Kamala Harris. They are deathly afraid she's going to say something stupid, and it will become the major narrative once again that she can't put together a sentence. She talks in circles. She doesn't answer things. And, I'm looking forward to sitting down and watching this interview. I also, I think if there's any integrity about this process whatsoever, the raw tape from the moment they walk in and sit down to the time they get up and leave should be posted on CNN, on their website. I mean, you have the right to make edits for time. You have a right to make edits to get what you think is the big news out of the interview. That's fair. That's all above board. Everybody does that. But if you want to know whether or not it was a fair interview or whether there was something disastrous that happened during it, then you got to post the raw. The raw interview has got to go up. And I hope that CNN has the integrity to do that. 21 past the hour of 6 o'clock.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
The current listeria outbreak claims the life of a Tennessean. We'll have that story as well as today's closing money news. That comes up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 25 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. Brian Wilson in the chair all the way till 7 o'clock before we turn it over to Mark Levin, the great one, after the news. I have a French bulldog. You've heard me time to time talk about Grogu. Grogu often comes to work with me, sits in the background, sleeps on the couch, snores a little bit. Today, she went back home with the cabana wife a little early. But if you know anything about the breed of French bulldogs, you know they're a troublesome breed. And here is a cautionary tale about a French bulldog that damn near burned down the house.
Take a look at how the DeLuzio family knew their four-legged friend started the fire. This security video shows exactly who caught their Brook Park home on fire.
And in the video, you can see him stretch over and touch the stove, and then you hear the burner click on, and then within seconds, the burner comes on.
Some leftovers covered on the stove, one curious pup going for a snack, and a dose of bad luck as Harvey's paw ignites the burner.
If we didn't have it on camera, it's kind of a far-fetched tale. You wouldn't really believe it.
Chris DeLuzio says he was at work when he got the phone call he'll never forget. The fire department telling him his home was on fire.
It was definitely panic and fear at the same time because, like I said, I knew that they said that they only located one dog. My thought process at first was my son, my niece, and my mother-in-law are here. So I'm trying to get a hold of them.
Fortunately, DeLuzio found out later no one was home. But this is what's left of the kitchen.
That's him just being
ain't much.
fat and hungry.
Thankfully, DeLuzio says the damage inadvertently caused by Harvey is all covered, but it looks like he and his wife and their 6 children will need somewhere else to stay for 6 to 8 months. And of course, not everything can be replaced.
I mean, we lost a lot of irreplaceable stuff, you know what I mean? It doesn't have a value.
Well, and there it is. Keep your bulldog away from your gas stove.
Question is, how did he get up on the counter in the first place?
Well, apparently stretched up, put paws up on the front of the stove,
stood up,
and the burners were on the front of the stove.
Wow.
And that's what happened. And French bulldogs, mine's kind of small. This one is a monster. This one's a big old
big one, yeah.
strapping. Harvey was a strapping bulldog. So anyway, cautionary tale. These dogs, I tell you what, there's not a day that doesn't go by where this dog doesn't do something that amuses me. I mean, the thing about it is when this dog does something that makes me mad, like, she loves to tear up my catalogs. And that's the one thing. If she gets her hands on a catalog, or for some reason, Cabana Wife, I think dogs can see yellow. I read this somewhere. Dogs can see yellow. Cabana Wife has these napkins, these cloth napkins that are yellow, and they're sort of festive. And she is fascinated by them. And if you leave one like laying on, you're watching something by the TV and you lay one on top of the little coffee table there, you turn your back, she will come and get it and take off with it. And you will find shreds of yellow material somewhere in the corner later. And I mean, incredible joy with anything yellow. I don't know why. No. Then there's this story from Sevier County, Tennessee, about Cosmo the cat. 2 years after he disappeared, Cosmo has been reunited with the family thanks to a microchip. Wednesday morning, Sevier Animal Care Center shared a photo of Cosmo, who is a 15-year-old orange cat, alongside his owners. A spokesperson for the shelter told News 6 that 2 years ago, Cosmos was one of the 2 older cats in the family household. The other older cat passed away, and a few days after that, Cosmo disappeared. Now, according to the shelter, Cosmo family thought she may have left the family's home to grieve or possibly find a place to pass away himself. Instead, 2 years later, Cosmo was found by a delivery driver in the same neighborhood where he had gone missing. He hadn't gone far.
Wow.
Yeah, 2 years. The shelter shared that because Cosmo family had him microchipped, and the shelter was able to read the microchip and then call the family and let them know that Cosmos, who had been gone for 2 years, hadn't gone very far, and is now reunited with the family.
He just wanted some time to himself, I guess.
Leave me alone. These people drive me nuts.
Crazy.
The constable started saying, I thought I got away from these people, and they're back. I didn't, I ran away because I didn't like you. I don't know. But they do say that, you should think about microchipping your pets. Good way to get your pet back. Because only about 6% of lost cats and 11% of lost dogs are sent back to their homeowners after they end up at the shelter because they were microchipped.
Yep.
It's a way to know.
That's right.
30 minutes now past the hour.
Good evening. It is 6:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Mostly sunny. We're down to 96 degrees here on Music Row. A forecast and a traffic report are coming up. One person in Tennessee has died amid America's largest listeria outbreak since 2011. That's according to the CDC. On Wednesday, 5 new deaths were reported in the outbreak linked to recalled deli meats. The new deaths include one from Tennessee, one from New Mexico, another from Florida, and 2 from South Carolina. A total of 9 deaths now, and 57 cases have been reported in 18 states. All 57 people have been hospitalized. It is the largest listeria outbreak in the U.S. since 33 deaths and 147 confirmed cases were caused by a cantaloupe that was contaminated. That was 2011 when that occurred. The current outbreak, it's being linked to over 7 million pounds of Boar's Head deli products that were recalled late last month. Now we turn to today's closing money news. Today we have Chuck Severson.
From ABC News, Wall Street now. Another record high close for the Dow, up 244 points. The S&P 500 down less than a point, and the NASDAQ index lost 40. Despite the late afternoon fade in the indexes, gainers outnumbered decliners by nearly 3-1 on the New York Stock Exchange. The Commerce Department upgraded its assessment of U.S. economic growth for the second quarter to 3% compared to a previous estimate of 2.8%. It's another signal that the economy remains strong despite pressure from stubborn inflation and high interest rates. Consumer spending, which accounts for about 70% of U.S. economic activity, rose at a 2.9% annual rate last quarter, up from the government's initial estimate. The market's gains came despite a drop in NVIDIA, which has ridden the big wave over artificial intelligence to become one of the S&P 500's most influential companies. Its shares fell 6.4% despite stellar results for the second quarter.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Let me tell you about the folks over at DT McCall's. You know it's a family-run business, and you know that it's been around here for more than a century, and you know that there are 5 locations, one of them near you. But I'll tell you something. They're good people. I think that they deal with you honestly and forthrightly. They will give you a good price. I've bought a lot of stuff from DT McCall. You walk in, they give you a price on something you like, and it's a good price. And then here's the thing. They're not going to charge you extra for delivery or setup or haul away like the big box stores do. Another thing, when you do business with a big box store, you're sending your dollars to some corporation with a corporate office in Delaware, very likely. Maybe what you ought to do instead is do business with a local company to keep your dollars here in Tennessee. It's a local company that also does, whenever possible, it does business with other Tennessee companies. They sell products made and manufactured here whenever they can find them. And you want that, don't you? Of course you do. Listen, DT McCall's 5 convenient locations. One of them is near you. Furniture, appliances, anything you might need for your home, you're going to find it there. Learn more by going to their website, dtmccalls.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
It is 38 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. You know what? We're going to be running up here to about 7 o'clock. We'll do the news, and then Mark Levin will take over. The great one. Hang around for that. You don't want to miss it. Let's take this last few minutes we have together. And, there's a lot of stories that I want to tell. Some are serious. Some are not serious. Some are fun. Some are not fun. But they don't go together. They're just a mishmash of things. And so, when we have that, what we do is we squish them together like this. Just like that. All right. So we're going to do some squishing here. This one is a serious story, and the deep state is real, and you wonder, how does the deep state exist? Here's how it works. The Biden-Harris administration may be attempting to Trump-proof the Department of Justice by hiring appointees to some permanent federal positions, according to findings from a watchdog group's public records request. Freedom of Information Act documents obtained by Protect the Public Trust and shared with Fox News Digital show the administration is using an obscure hiring authority that bypasses normal hiring processes based on merit to secure DOJ positions that could thwart the former President Trump's agenda if he takes office in 2025. They are utilizing something known as a Schedule A hiring authority to fill hundreds of attorney and judge positions in career civil service roles without competitive selection, the watchdog group has noted. The foundation of our democracy, our republic, is the Constitution, and the Constitution vests decision-making authority in the executive branch in the president. But it becomes hard when there are people within the various agencies working against the president, the deep state. And this is how they get in there. It is really something to watch. Look, I mean, I'm not saying that Republicans don't do it as well, but you can be sure that the Biden people are taking precautions to get as many people into the deep state as they possibly can before we get to November 5th. Story number 2. United Flight 1196 from Cancun to Chicago had to make an emergency landing in Memphis, Tennessee. It was diverted after the plane encountered, quote, a brief period of severe turbulence that left one passenger hospitalized and 6 others injured. It was a 737-900, landed safely in Memphis International Airport around 2:50. The paramedics were brought to the scene. A number of people were seriously injured. We're grateful to the crew for their efforts to ensure the safety of our employees and customers. I love reading a story like this just before I get on a plane. But, I mean, here's the thing. Nobody would have been hurt if they had their seatbelt on. I mean, occasionally, I guess, something can happen where it flies out of the overhead and strikes somebody. But mostly, when people are injured in turbulence, it's because they end up, they're not buckled in. The plane takes a nosedive, and you go up and hit the ceiling. And it hurts. Oof. So I hear. So apparently, the turbulence was over Louisiana. Can happen anywhere. Clear air turbulence. Number 3. Yellowstone, the show Yellowstone, which I love, and I've been waiting for them to come out with season 5B. And the question is how they're going to do it. Is apparently rumored that there might be a 6th season. Now, November 10th, I think, is the day that they debut the second half of season 5, which we've been waiting for forever. And the question I've been wanting to know is how are they going to do this without John Dutton? Kevin Costner is not returning. But I saw the trailer, and it's full of Costner. So apparently they're going to use a bunch of file tape.
Or flashbacks, maybe.
Flashbacks. Yeah. It's going to be one of those flashback episodes. And somehow they're going to revisit a lot of stuff that has been said over the years to sort of, weave a story without him.
Interesting.
I don't know. But now they're talking about a season 6, which would star Yellowstone stars Kelly Riley, who plays Beth Dutton, and Cole Hauser, who plays Rip. Now, they really are, I think that those are strong enough characters. I would want to see Beth and Rip.
I want to see this story. Carry a show?
They're huge personalities in this show, and both are really good actors. I would watch that. I want to see it. Riley plays Bethany. I didn't know that it was technically Bethany. Beth Dutton, the daughter of Kevin Costner. And Hauser plays Rip Wheeler, Beth's husband, and an employee who is the quote-unquote fixer of the ranch, known to take people to the train station, if you know what I'm talking about. So there you go. It'll be interesting to see how that comes out. What are we? 1, 2, 3, 4. Brad Paisley and Kimberly Williams Paisley have opened up a second nonprofit grocery store location in Nashville. I love this idea, and kudos to these guys. The store, a nonprofit organization that offers a free referral-based grocery store for food-insecure families in Nashville, announced plans to open a second location on the campus of TriStar Centennial Medical Center. Brad Paisley and Kimberly Williams Paisley co-founded the store. When we opened the store, the original one in 2020, we were grateful to be able to help support our neighbors in need through a challenging year, including devastating tornadoes and global pandemic. It has always been our goal to expand this effort. We are thrilled to announce that the store will open a second location with our friends at TriStar Centennial to further serve the larger community. I love it. I love it. I love it. I mean, here is a couple of people who've had great success in life, sharing with their community, doing stuff in a way where we're not relying on the government to solve the problem. You know, we're allowing charitable donations to actually be used here to help people in need. And I just couldn't tell you how much I love the idea of people who look and say government is not the only solution. Let's try to find a way to solve a problem of hunger or need in our community through private means. And congratulations, Brad Paisley. Big fan of the guy musically, and big fan of the guy as a human being, and his wife, Kimberly Williams Paisley, who have worked so hard to bring food security and comfort to people in need. Number five. Your voice may reveal if you have type 2 diabetes or beatus. I got diabetes. Toronto, Ontario. Could doctors diagnose a case of diabetes by having a conversation with their patient? A new study suggests it might be possible. Researchers in Canada have discovered a surprising link between blood sugar levels and the pitch of your voice, opening up an exciting possibility for non-invasive health monitoring. The study published in Scientific Reports found that as blood glucose levels rise, so does the fundamental frequency of a person's voice. In other words, the pitch gets slightly higher. This relationship held true not just for people with diabetes, but those with normal blood sugar levels. While the change is subtle, it's consistent enough to be detectable. To put it in perspective, your blood sugar went from a normal fasting level of 80. I can't even begin to cut through what they're talking about here. After a meal, your voice pitch might increase by about 2 hertz. That's too small a change for the human ear to notice, but potentially detectable by sensitive audio analysis. This discovery could pave the way for new non-invasive methods to monitor blood sugar levels. Simply put, patients will be able to check their glucose by speaking into a smartphone without the need for finger pricks or wearable sensors. Such technology is still a ways off, but the new research takes an important step in that direction.
How's my blood sugar?
It's just fine.
That's pretty impressive, though.
Yeah, that is impressive. AI, I think there's an evil side to AI, and I think there's a really amazing side to AI. I mean, they now say that AI technology is better at diagnosing, what somebody might have. In other words, you put in all your symptoms, you say, "What do you think I have?" And the AI can look through all the medical journals in a half a second and come out with all these ideas about what you should explore. Now, is it possible for a doctor to do that? Yeah, some really, really good ones, but I mean, they might miss one. And it's never, you always want to have the human element looking over it and saying, well, this one's very unlikely, but this one, interesting, we should explore this, find out if this is what's causing your problem. Diagnosis of some things is the hardest part about it. And I like the idea of AI and things like that. I have some other concerns about AI when it comes to faking stuff and not knowing whether it's real or not. That's just one of my concerns. All right, this is number 6. Wow, that's a good one. You're going to love this story, Chris. It was gearing up to be a disastrous climax. A couple, quote unquote, getting busy in their car nearly ended in a tragedy when their SUV rolled into a Philadelphia river in the middle of the night while they were in the back seat.
Oh. Wait, I need a little bit of this.
Oh my!
Yeah, can I do this? The Lovebirds were having sex in a 2020 Range Rover.
Oh my!
Near a river in Fairmont Park around 4:15 Wednesday, when one of their limbs, we hope it was a limb, bumped into the SUV's gear stick. Well, at least they thought it was the gear stick. Police told NBC 10. Moments later, the Range Rover tumbled over the edge and sank into the water about 2 miles from Philadelphia City Hall. Why that is relevant, I don't know. The unidentified couple jumped out of the SUV before the vehicle hit the water and plummeted beneath the surface, police told the outlet. Police told NBC 10 that they suspect the couple was getting busy.
Oh my!
When the freak mishap occurred.
The freak mishap, yeah.
The Range Rover, they were freaky, all right. The Range Rover was hoisted out of the river around 9 a.m. Images of the SUV show it wholly submerged near the Strawberry Mansion Bridge. Law enforcement shared that no charges are pending against the autoerogenous couple.
Oh my!
The first line is the best one. You don't know the story when you read the first line. It was gearing up to be a disastrous climax. Oh, and on that note, let's call it 50 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. Oh, my. Restoration Wellness and Med Spa. Let the team over there help you achieve your weight loss goals. They're the leader in weight loss management in Wilson County, located in Lebanon, easy to get to, right off the interstate. Call the Restoration Wellness team today at 615-470-8124 or visit them at their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com, to book a consultation today. Now, my friends, Carly and Jamie, will take care of you like you are one of their own. Be a part of the 1,000 patients who've already seen life-changing results from the weight loss management program there. Weight loss can increase your energy levels, improve your quality of sleep, and enhance your overall health. And it's worked for me. I'm down about 25 pounds. It's a customized treatment plan, not one size fits all. They will look at your unique needs, your lifestyle, your goals. Now, whether your goal is to lose stubborn body fat or improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness has a solution for you. Learn about the newest techniques in weight loss management. Just go to their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
54 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson here, and glad to have you. I forgot, what was the number that you told me that I had to go to? You told me.
All the way, baby.
All the way to 5950?
All the way, yep.
All right, okay, thank you. You told me, and I forgot to write it down. All right. This is important stuff because we have to end the show on time.
Mm-hmm.
We can't end the show early. We definitely can't end the show late. Our Mark Levin will hunt us down.
Yes, he
and
will.
You do not want the wrath of Mark Levin. I can promise you that for sure.
What are you knuckleheads doing?
I remember one time I was interviewing. He used to come on the show in D.C. all the time. And I asked him a question. It wasn't a particularly hard question. He said, I know about you, Wilson. You don't really like me, do you? And I said, no, I've never said that. Whatever gave you that idea? I adore you, Mark. I think you're great. I don't know, you knucklehead. But we've got along fine ever since that. I don't know where he got that idea.
Maybe he just wanted to see how you would respond to that.
I have no idea what started it. Why he just came at me like that. But I've come to know him a little bit. And I really like the guy, and you'll like him too. All right, so we got a couple of things to talk about here. Listen, you want to join Dan, Chris, Matt, and me at Scoreboard, Cedar Creek, and Mount Juliet as we watch the next presidential debate, now scheduled for Tuesday, September 10th. Now, the way it stands, Trump has said he's in. I've seen some reporting today that says that the ABC has not gotten it locked up with the Harris people. They're still apparently trying to work out some details. I expect that it's going to get worked out. These things generally do, but it's not a completely done deal now, but we expect it's going to happen. And on Tuesday, September 10th, starting at 3 o'clock, I'll be there to start the drive. And then, there's a possibility, we're still thinking it over, that part of the show will be done on the water.
I can see this going very badly.
My very expensive electronic gear going overboard
at the bottom of Old Hickory Lake.
That's right. Well, it was nice while it lasted, and then we'd have to hurry back to the dock. Okay, so that's going to happen. I'll start at 3 o'clock with the drive, and then at some point, Dan, Chris, Matt, they'll mosey in and participate, and then we'll do an hour all together, and then we'll watch the debate, and it'll be a good time. Now, the last debate was a blast. Had a great time. You'll have a good time. That's Scoreboard, Cedar Creek, and Mount Juliet. Details at 99.7 WTN.com. We hope to see you there. It's the debate that everybody's. It probably will be the biggest inflection point between now and Election Day, because I don't think there's going to be more than one. I think it's going to be one and done. And so, everything's going to be, if there's going to be something that changes the numbers, that rattle the cages, that moves the needle at all, it's going to be this debate. And you definitely, want to hang out and watch it with people that you like, right? People who see the world the same way that you do. And I'm going to insist this time that somebody else wear the daddy pants.
Be the wrangler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do I always have to be the talent wrangler? Just saying. All right, so there's got that. Now, the other thing that I want to tell you is I'm going to be gone tomorrow, and I'll be back on Tuesday. I'm going to Texas to see my sis. We're going to do some glass blowing. I don't have any idea how I got talked into this. This was something worked up by my sister and Cabana wife, and I got basically, I bet you my brother-in-law is not going to be there. I bet he was smart enough to get out of this.
He's got an appointment that he cannot miss.
Somehow he will have some reason not to be there.
Yeah.
But I got talked into going, and I don't know anything about glass blowing except you do not inhale.
No, exhale only.
Exhale only.
Yeah.
And I'm told that, I don't know what kind of, I got a bad feeling about this. Molten glass and me, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it goes together. But one way or the other, I've committed to do it. Then we're going to go see a minor league baseball game and just basically hang out with sis. I'll be back on Tuesday after the holiday. And then the other thing I wanted to tell you is we've got a surprise.
Ooh.
We got a surprise coming next week, about the middle of next week. I am not authorized to give you all the details, but I've been authorized to give you a hint.
All right.
I say it's a musical hint, and maybe you were with us earlier when you heard this. Da-da-da. This is it. The Funky Pee-wee, it's called. Bum, bum, bum. Does it ring a bell? Is there something that reminds you of something maybe a long time in the past? I don't know. But now, if you're alert, cunning, and sly and a regular listener throughout the broadcast day, you're going to figure this out tomorrow morning. So just listen. And I'll be back after a trip to Texas. You guys be careful out there and have a great holiday weekend.